the genius scientist of the Dragon King legend. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51, Guyu and Nada. How is it, brother? Is it delicious? Nada asked with a smile. Jiang Xiaofeng's mouth was full of food at this time, and he could only nod in response. It's true that this is Shrek Academy, and the food is good. After swallowing the food in his mouth, Jiang Xiaofeng looked around and saw that no one was paying attention to him, so he leaned over and asked quietly, "Why did you come here?" The man just now was an extreme Daoluo. "Aren't you afraid that he will see your true identity?" Nada said with some pride. "Don't worry, brother, I'm not an ordinary soul beast. No one can tell." "What about me?" Nada immediately wilted, and after a long time, she managed to say, "Except you, brother." Seeing that Nada was a little depressed, Jiang Xiaofeng hurriedly comforted her. Okay, I know you are very powerful, but you still have to be careful here on Sea God Island. After all, there are so many title Daoluos here, and even many extreme Daoluos. This is not a joke. Yeah. Nada nodded with a smile. She knew that her brother was concerned about her, and she felt very happy to be cared about. "By the way, brother, what happened after I left? How did you get specially recruited?" Jiang Xiaofeng often pretended to be serious and said, "It's a long story. Everything starts from the day you left." Hearing Jiang Xiaofeng's storytelling tone, Nada chuckled, but still listened attentively. In this way, Jiang Xiaofeng ate while talking. When she heard that Jiang Xiaofeng encountered the evil soul master, Nada's face was full of worry. But then, Jiang Xiaofeng changed his tone and talked about how he took out the creation driver, transformed into Kamen Rider creation, and defeated the evil soul master with a crushing force. Nada was relieved, and her face was full of admiration. After that, Jiang Xiaofeng talked about his learning experience that was like cheating. Hearing this, the admiration on Nada's face became stronger and stronger, and she was almost a few stars in her eyes. "Then, I came to this Sea God Island, and then it's what's happening now." At this time, Jiang Xiaofeng had already finished dinner, only Nada was still eating. After not seeing each other for a year, Nada's appetite has increased a lot. "Wow." Nada exclaimed, "I don't have so many complicated stories. Some soul beasts found me and helped me awaken my martial soul, and then sent me to Shrek Academy. I was accepted as a disciple by the Sea God Pavilion Master Yunming, and then I have been practicing here." Jiang Xiaofeng smiled. "That's not bad. Isn't it good to practice here? When you are strong enough, you can do whatever you want outside, and you don't have to be afraid of anyone." "Okay." At the door of the dormitory. "I'll go back first. Tomorrow I will either be in the dormitory or in the library. In short, I will not leave this Sea God Island. You can come to find me after you complete your practice mission. If I go to find you, it may disturb your practice." Jiang Xiaofeng said. "Okay, see you tomorrow, brother." Nada waved her hand and said with a smile, "See you tomorrow. You should go back early too." Jiang Xiaofeng said and walked into the dormitory. The dormitories in the inner courtyard of Shrek are all single rooms, or to be more precise, one small villa per person, which is better than the treatment in Xianhei College. It can only be said that after all, it is Shrek College, which is rich and powerful. Jiang Xiaofeng made a major renovation of this dormitory as usual, and installed all kinds of equipment. But after all, it was late, and only a small part of the equipment was installed. And then, some plans can be started. Now, comics and other leisure cultures have begun to appear on the Daoluo continent, and there is a trend of becoming more and more abundant. If you output ideas through comics, novels, etc., it can be said to be very simple. Moreover, the current comics have not yet fully developed, and the picture quality of various comics is still very rough. Jiang Xiaofeng's painting skills are not comparable to those of Chinese painting artists, but he can still draw exquisite two-dimensional characters. Once the comics drawn with this basically perfect style are released, they will definitely be crushed among peers. Even if the style of comics is gradually improved in the future, the comics drawn by Jiang Xiaofeng will still be a milestone. As for this first comic, Jiang Xiaofeng thought about it and decided to use the magic version of the legend of the white snake. Since reincarnation does not exist in Daoluo continent, Jiang Xiaofeng simply set Zhu Zan's identity as the descendant of Bei Niang's savior. Bei Niangzi naturally had to be transformed into a 100,000-year-old soul beast white snake, and Fahei was transformed into a level 98 super Daoluo, preparing to break through to the ultimate Daoluo with the help of Bei Niang's soulbone. So in the following time, in addition to studying the various achievements of Shrek Academy, Jiang Xiaofeng had one more thing to do. "You're here," Guyu said lightly. Nana came out from nowhere. "I'm here. You shouldn't have come." Guyu shook her head. "But I still came." Nana smiled softly. "How do you feel about spending a year with my brother?" Guyu was silent. After a long while, Guyu replied, "He is very stupid. He actually worked hard for an ideal that is impossible to achieve, whether it is the peace between humans and soul beasts, or saving all civilians. If this continues, he will be the enemy of the world until..." When you say this, you have already acknowledged that my brother has the qualifications to try things that you dare not try. Nada interrupted Guyu. Guyu was silent again. After a while, Guyu asked, "You want to help him?" "Of course." Nada said, "As a matter of course. He is my brother. If I don't help him, who will? Besides, didn't you promise him?" Do you know why brother is looking for you?" Nada asked suddenly. Guyu was stunned for a moment, then shook his head. "Do you still remember the hair that brother asked you for?" Guyu thought about it carefully, nodded, and asked, "What's wrong?" "Brother once said that everyone has unique DNA, but everyone's DNA has the same rules. If a person's DNA does not have these rules, it means that he is not a human. Moreover, every part of our body contains our DNA, even if it is just a hair. This is how I was discovered, and the same goes for you." Guyu was stunned. "You mean, he knew that I was not human?" Nada nodded. "Not only that, brother should also know, you and I are the same person." "How is it possible?" Guyu said in disbelief. "How is it impossible?" Nada said proudly. "Brother said that everyone's DNA is different, unless they are the same person. You and I have the same origin. You are me, and I'm you. Our DNA is naturally the same." Guyu did not continue to respond to Nada's words, but changed the subject and said, "Since you have chosen the same path as your brother, then there is nothing much to say between us. People with different ideals cannot work together." "No." Nada shook her head and said, "I said, you are me, and I'm you. I will choose this path, which means you will eventually choose this path, because our hearts are the same." At some point, the magic dragon flew over and kept circling around Guyu. Nada looked at the magic dragon and said, "That was made by my brother for us. If you can fully gain its approval, you can feel that the dragon connects us." Guyu frowned and asked, "Can you feel it?" "Of course." Nana took out the dragon energy bottle and shook it in front of Guyu. "I believe you can also feel how powerful the night system made by my brother is. My brother said that the most powerful part of the night system is not its power, but that it can connect to our hearts. The stronger the inner belief, the stronger the power that the night system will burst out. Even beyond our peak period, that is, when we were still dragon gods." Library. Soul power, martial soul, soul master, soul beast, god. Interesting. Chapter 52 Decade. Jiang Xiaofeng stretched his back and got up from the bed. Last night, he had already painted a part of the magic version of the legend of the white snake. In order to speed up the progress, Jiang Xiaofeng also specially made a painting software to help Jiang Xiaofeng paint faster. Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly felt that time was not enough. He had to study the information in the library, carry out ideological construction on the Daoluo continent, and speed up the upgrade of the defense system of Shrek Academy. Guyu and Zizi were basically on the right track. Because they were still a little young, they did not enter the first grade, but entered the preparatory department to study. They will enter the first grade when they are 12 years old. After thinking about it, Jiang Xiaofeng thought that he might as well go to find Nana now. If he finds Nana, he will probably meet Yunming or Yali, and then show them his homemade evil soul master detector. If nothing unexpected happens, this device should be highly valued by Shrek Academy. Do it as soon as you say it. The sooner this device is deployed, Jiang Xiaofeng can feel at ease sooner. Apart from anything else, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't just sit back and watch the countless deaths caused by the bombing of the 12th level Soul Guide cannon. After a round on the Sea God Island, Jiang Xiaofeng found Nana with the help of the detector. Next to Nana, there was a beautiful woman in a green dress. If Jiang Xiaofeng guessed correctly, this woman should be Yali. As for Yali, Jiang Xiaofeng felt that this person was not bad and didn't see any problems. When Jiang Xiaofeng arrived, Yali, as a super Daoluo, naturally would not fail to notice Jiang Xiaofeng's arrival. Yali looked at Nana and said gently, "Nana, your brother is here to see you." Nana turned her head in surprise when she heard this and saw Jiang Xiaofeng smiling at her not far away, and a smile suddenly broke out on her face. "Brother, why are you here? Didn't you say that I would find you when the time comes?" Nana ran over happily, grabbed Jiang Xiaofeng's hand and asked. Jiang Xiaofeng touched Nana's head and said, "I have something to do, so I just came to see you. That should be your master's wife." "Yes." Nana nodded quickly, pulled Jiang Xiaofeng to Yali and introduced, "This is my master's wife, Holy Spirit Daoluo, Yali." "Hello, your majesty." Jiang Xiaofeng greeted. Yali smiled gently, "Don't be restrained, just call me auntie. Nana has told me about you. She admires you very much. I'm jealous of you." Jiang Xiaofeng smiled awkwardly and then said, "Auntie, to be precise, I came to find you this time." "Looking for me?" Yali said puzzledly. "Yes." Jiang Xiaofeng nodded and then took out the Evil Soul Master detector from behind. "This is my homemade detection device, which can detect the location of the Evil Soul Master. I have experimented with it when I was in Danhe City and confirmed that it is effective. Are you sure?" At this time, Yali's expression also became serious. She had also heard about Jiang Xiaofeng's research and development capabilities. It seems to be more powerful than the little girl from Tang sect, which makes the little girl very unconvinced. "I'm sure." Jiang Xiaofeng nodded seriously, "but this is only a semi-finished product. The data I have is still not enough, but it can still track most of the Evil Soul Masters. With its current power, it can cover a medium-sized city at most. In this case, it can detect most of the Evil Soul Masters who have released their martial spirits, and there may be misjudgments. If the range is compressed to a radius of 50 meters, it can detect most of the Evil Soul Masters, even if they have not released their martial spirits." Yali took the detector and looked at it carefully in her hand. Unfortunately, she didn't see anything after looking at it for a long time. After all, this thing involves Yali's knowledge blind spot. The principle of this detector is to identify by capturing and analyzing the soul power fluctuations dissipated in the air, but the Evil Soul Master soul power data I have is still too little, so there may be misjudgments, and it lacks effective detection capabilities for Evil Soul Masters who are good at hiding. Jiang Xiaofeng continued to add. Yali put away the detector and said to Jiang Xiaofeng, "This is a serious matter. Wait for me here for a while." After that, Yali disappeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng. After a while, Yali appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng and Naya again. Not only that, there was a young man beside her, the master of the Sea God Pavilion, Yunming. Yunming said in a deep voice, "Come with me." After that, Yunming turned and walked away. Jiang Xiaofeng and Nada hurriedly followed. Nada asked curiously, "Teacher, where are we going?" Yunming left 3 words, "Sea God Pavilion." A huge ancient tree appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng and Nada. Although Jiang Xiaofeng had seen this tree from a distance yesterday, it was the first time to watch it up close like this. This is the center of the laws of this continent. Jiang Xiaofeng thought silently in his heart. This tree is the core of Shrek Academy, or the core of the entire Daoluo continent, the Golden Ancient Tree. The Golden Ancient Tree is the core of life in the entire Daoluo continent and the center of the laws of the Daoluo continent. There are 2 very magical things on Daoluo continent, the Lord of the Plains, and the tree spirit of this Golden Ancient Tree. The name of the Lord of the Plains is what people in this world call it, but Jiang Xiaofeng prefers to call it Jia Consciousness. However, Jiang Xiaofeng heard that the Lord of the Plains on Daoluo continent is no longer the original Lord of the Plains, but Tang San's father, Tang Heo. This makes Jiang Xiaofeng very curious about where the original Lord of the Plains on Daoluo continent is. Next to the golden ancient tree is an antique wooden house, which is the so-called Sea God Pavilion. Jiang Xiaofeng and others walked into the wooden house. There were already 7 people sitting around the wooden table in the wooden house, and the main seat and the accompanying seat were vacant. Among the 7 people in the house, Jiang Xiaofeng knew 2 of them. One was Kaleo, and the other was Zhushi. The 7 people in the house were surprised at the arrival of Jiang Xiaofeng and Nana, but did not say anything. In their opinion, the pavilion master must have his reasons for doing this. Yunming took the main seat, while Yali sat in the accompanying seat. Jiang Xiaofeng and Nana looked around and finally sat at the last seat. I'm sure you are all confused about the emergency meeting of the Sea God Pavilion. In fact, the meeting of the Sea God Pavilion was held more because of this new student, Jiang Xiaofeng. Yunming explained. The elders of the Sea God Pavilion were suddenly surprised. They had just heard of the name Jiang Xiaofeng not long ago. He was the freak whose scientific research ability could surpass Ling Zichen of the Tang sect. Shrek Academy had been established for tens of thousands of years, but it had never seen such a freak. Jiang Xiaofeng, please introduce your detector yourself. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded, then stood up, and explained the function of the detector he made. After Jiang Xiaofeng finished speaking, Yunming added, I just tested it, and the effect is better than he said. The Sea God Pavilion exploded immediately. Here, no one would question the authenticity of what Yunming said. Zhushi even stood up and asked, Xiaofeng, can you mass produce this detector? Jiang Xiaofeng thought for a moment and replied, I will build some supporting facilities, and it can be mass produced. If I can collect enough data, I will continue to improve it, and its accuracy will be higher. Seeing that the discussion among the members of the Sea God Pavilion was getting more and more intense, Yunming said in a low voice, quiet. The Sea God Pavilion instantly became so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Jiang Xiaofeng, are you willing to sell his manufacturing method to Shrek Academy? If you don't want to sell the technology, we can also buy your finished products in bulk, and the price is up to you. If you are willing, our Shrek Academy will fully cooperate with you to improve this detector. Yunming asked seriously. In fact, the conditions offered by Yunming were generous, but Jiang Xiaofeng had his own plan. Master, I can give this technology to Shrek Academy for free, but I have a request. Jiang Xiaofeng said. Yunming and Yali looked at each other and then answered, you said, as long as the conditions are not too extreme, we can agree to them. I want to participate in the construction of Shrek City's defense facilities. I'm not confident about Shrek City's defense facilities. Jiang Xiaofeng said seriously, because my mother is about to move into Shrek City. The book suddenly closed. I have a general understanding of the situation. A bizarre light curtain appeared out of thin air, completely covering him. Then, the light curtain and the figure disappeared without a trace. Deep in the Xingdao Great Forest, the light curtain appeared again, and a figure walked out leisurely from the light curtain. Who is it? A shocking roar sounded, and a black dragon suddenly jumped up from the lake. It's just a passing Kamen Rider, don't remember it. As he said that, he picked up the magenta camera on his neck and took a picture of the black dragon in front of him. Leave here, human. For some reason, although the human in front of him did not have any soul power fluctuations, Dishan instinctively did not want to fight with him. Oh. But I want to fight with you. A magenta driver appeared in his hand at some point. He put the driver to his waist, and the belt extended by itself, fixing the driver firmly on his waist. A card box appeared out of thin air on the left. Henshin Kamen Rider Decade 21 grey-white shadows gathered on him, forming a set of grey-white armor. 7 magenta blocks flew out of the driver and embedded in the head of the armor one by one. The magenta luster spread to the whole body of the armor like running water. In the void, it seemed as if a piece of music sounded. Why do you want to provoke me? I have already given you a chance. Yeah, why? I'm also looking for the reason. Chapter 53 Destruction. The sword and the claw intersected again, and the powerful force knocked Kamen Kamenshi to the ground. After rolling a few times, Kamen Kamenshi stood up and sat on the ground. Not bad. Worthy of being one of the strongest people in this world. Dishan frowned and said in a deep voice, Human, although I can't see through you, you are only at the level of contract after all. You are not my opponent, so leave now. Kamen Kamenchi stood up from the ground and took out a card from the card box, saying leisurely, that's not necessarily true. I'll use this card to deal with you. Kamen Ride Wizard Infinity style. A diamond-like shining magic circle appeared under Kamen Kamenchi's feet, and a diamond-colored giant dragon phantom rose into the air from the magic circle. Although it was just a phantom, Dishan felt an endless sense of oppression from it, which even the master in his prime could not compare to the breath of the god level. How is it possible? Yunming suddenly stood up from the main seat of the Sea God Pavilion, his eyes full of disbelief. God level? Shouldn't it be? The god realm will not come back for at least 10,000 years. There can't be other gods on Daoluo continent? Jiang Xiaofeng frowned and thought. At the same time, all the extreme Daoluos on Daoluo continent felt this breath. Everyone's face was full of shock. The god realm has disappeared for thousands of years. How could there still be gods? Hi Sui Fudu, fire water wind earth, Balzababayu dragon, all-encompassing dragon. The diamond covering his body shattered, revealing Kadoya's current appearance. The magenta belt symbolizes the skirt of a strong man. The whole body is shining with the luster of diamonds, and there is a huge diamond ring on the middle finger of his right hand. Kazushi raised his hand and looked at himself with satisfaction. To deal with a dragon, you should use the power of a dragon. The most ingenious arrangement, right? But Kazushi turned his head and looked around. He could feel that the entire continent seemed to be shaking with his transformation. It seems that your world can't withstand such a big noise. The lake shook again, and several huge figures appeared on the lake. Each of them had a cultivation of at least 200,000 years. They were the 7 remaining beasts among the 10 fierce beasts. It can be said that they are one of the strongest forces on Daoluo continent. But at this moment, they were all facing a great enemy. An emerald green swan asked unwillingly, "Who are you? Do you have to kill us all?" Kazushi did not answer Bridget's question, but asked, "You will produce soul rings and soul bones after death. This is the rule of this world, right?" Jiang said in a muffled voice, "So what? At worst, we will fight you." After that, Jiang was about to rush forward, but was stopped by Dishan. "Don't be impulsive. And the ones who can determine the rules of this world, in addition to the Jia consciousness of this planet, there are also so-called gods, right?" Kazushi continued to ask. Jia consciousness? Seeing that the human in front of him had no intention of taking action for the time being, Dishan did not continue to fight. It can be said that their life and death are in the hands of the person in front of him. Kazushi seemed to have remembered something and said, "Oh, sorry. In this world, it seems to be called the Lord of the Plains." Hearing this, Dishan nodded. Yes, only the gods and the Lord of the Plains can determine the laws of Daoluo continent. Really? Kazushi nodded and said thoughtfully, "I see. I think so. I think I understand. Wait, from what you said, you are not from this world?" Dishan suddenly asked. "Who knows?" Kazushi shrugged, "But since you answered my question, in exchange, I will help you." As he said that, Kazushi turned his eyes to the wall covering the Stardow Great Forest. "Is this the wall that trapped you?" Before Dishan could answer, Kazushi's left hand clenched out of thin air, and a diamond-like dragon flew out of nowhere, condensing into a strange shaped weapon in Kazushi's hand, which looked like a sword and an axe. Brilliant sword axe. Kazushi gently flipped the brilliant sword axe in his hand, changing from sword mode to axe mode, and the axe blade lit up immediately. Turn on. With his right hand, he tapped the palm pattern of the brilliant sword and axe. High touch. Shining strike. Kazushi kept swinging the brilliant sword and axe in his hand, and the brilliant sword and axe became bigger and bigger. After the brilliant sword and axe in his hand expanded to a limit, Kazushi jumped high, and a hurricane blew under his feet, carrying him to the edge of the wall surrounding the Stardow Great Forest. What is that? Quick, attack. The staff of the spirit tower in the wall quickly called out various soul-guided shells, and blasted Kazushi fiercely. However, everything was in vain. Kazushi's body flashed with blue light, and all the soul-guided shells hit him without causing any damage. Kazushi held the giant axe and chopped the wall fiercely with blue energy. Boom. The wall that stretched for several miles collapsed, and a deep canyon appeared on the ground. This is not over yet. Kazushi held the giant axe and chopped horizontally around the wall. The wall that had trapped the soul beasts for hundreds of years was completely broken in less than a minute. Deshan and other fierce beasts had already stood there in a daze. The development of things was really beyond their imagination. They had already thought that they would die, but later there was a glimmer of hope, and now they were completely free. Suddenly, a red light flashed in front of them, and Kazushi appeared in front of them again. Deshan hesitated for a moment, and finally clasped his fists towards Kazushi and said, "I'm grateful for your kindness. If you need me in the future, I will never refuse." Kazushi waved his hand and said leisurely, "There is no need to refuse even if I die. I will give you a piece of advice. The gods of this world don't seem to be very good. Not only are you soul beasts victims, but humans seem to be victims too." Victims? Deshan repeated in confusion. In his opinion, humans are undoubtedly the most favored race. They have extremely strong talents, can absorb the soul rings and soul bones of soul beasts, and have the possibility of becoming gods. How could they be victims? Yes. Kamen Rider sighed. For no reason, they have had a hatred with soul beasts that has lasted for tens of thousands of years, and they don't even know who caused it. The most ridiculous thing is that they still respectfully worship the culprit of all this. Deshan suddenly reacted, "You mean, the root of everything is God? Who knows?" Kamen Rider shrugged, waved his hand, and a dimensional wall appeared in front of him. "Goodbye." Kamen Rider said this, and then stepped into the dimensional wall, and the dimensional wall disappeared. Jiang felt that his brain was not enough, so he had to ask, "Boss, what did that person mean?" Deshan said in a deep voice, "The general meaning is that the reason why humans need spirit rings for cultivation, and the reason why we have spirit rings, is probably the rules set by the God realm. It is the God realm that made us, and humans have such hatred. And humans seem to be favored, but in the end they are just pawns that can be discarded at any time." P.S. The document was closed without being saved, and almost thousands of words were lost. Although it was later recovered, hundreds of words were still missing. So today's is a little short. Chapter 54, Aftermath. At this time, the top leaders of the spiritual transmission tower fell into chaos. The soul defense wall surrounding the Stardow Great Forest was completely destroyed by a powerful person who seemed to be a god. Whether it was the huge economic losses or the appearance of a powerful god, it was a huge shock to the spiritual transmission tower. The spiritual transmission tower meeting room. After such a major incident, the number of participants did not increase compared to usual, but strangely decreased a lot, with less than 10 people. However, everyone present exuded a terrifying aura, all showing that they all had a cultivation level above level 95. So, this person who seemed to be a god may not be from the god realm. Then, how did it break through the bottleneck of the god level? Jiang Xiaofeng frowned and said thoughtfully. Len Yaosu slapped the table fiercely, but now the most critical issue is not to find a way to break through the god level, but how to deal with the revenge of those fierce beasts. Our spiritual transmission tower is a big family and a big business. Without the threat of the wall to the life core of the Stardow Great Forest, they can easily cause us heavy losses. Jiang Xiaofeng was stunned. As the saying goes, those who are barefoot are not afraid of those who wear shoes. In the past, the wall made by their spirit pagoda could bombard the life core of the Stardow Great Forest at any time, making the fierce beasts in the Stardow Great Forest dare not act rashly. But now it is different. The wall has been destroyed, and the fierce beasts have no scruples. They can instantly destroy a branch of the spirit pagoda and then leave. This is definitely a major loss for the spirit pagoda. If it is not good, the spirit pagoda will be destroyed. P.S. Dao 3 later proves that the fierce beasts can come out of the wall, but it is still said that they are trapped in this wall, which is outrageous, so I had to add a second setting. Pavilion Master, are you sure that it was the breath of God just now? ZHU she asked in disbelief. Yunming nodded heavily. It is a god level, there is no mistake, but the strange thing is that I did not sense the god position, and his power is also very strange, but it is indeed a genuine god level, and it is not a short-lived god level. Suddenly, everyone in the sea god pavilion became worried. An unknown god level strongman suddenly appeared on the Daoluo continent, and it was unknown whether it was a blessing or a curse. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. Yunming interrupted everyone's thoughts. Jiang Xiaofeng, I agree to your request. Today's meeting ends here. Dismissed. As soon as he left the sea god pavilion, Jiang Xiaofeng asked Nana anxiously, Nana, that god level person just now, do you know where he appeared? Nana nodded seriously. Yes, I know. He appeared in the Stardao Great Forest. Jiang Xiaofeng's pupils shrank suddenly. Stardao Great Forest. That is, your home? Are those soul beasts okay? Nana shook her head gently. Nothing for the time being. I don't know the details yet. I need to find out more. I will tell you if there is any situation. In other words, the god level strongman just destroyed the wall and left, and did not embarrass you too much? Guyu asked coldly. Dishan said respectfully, yes, my lord. He seems to have extremely powerful spatial abilities. Please forgive me for being frank. At this point, Dishan looked at Guyu hesitantly. Speak. Yes. Dishan bowed his head deeply. Forgive me for being frank, but even in your prime, you should not be as good as him in terms of spatial ability. Guyu frowned and pondered. After a while, Guyu asked again. He didn't say who he was. Dishan hesitated and said, my lord, he just said that he was a Kamen Rider passing by and seemed to be from another world. Kamen Rider. Guyu's voice suddenly rose 8 degrees. Dishan looked at Guyu in surprise and asked carefully, my lord, do you know this Kamen Rider? Guyu reacted after a brief surprise. She shook her head gently. It's okay. That person. What does he look like? I need to confirm something. Yes. Dishan then closed his eyes and saw a blurry picture gradually formed in front of him. Not only that, the blurry picture became clearer and clearer. Thought materialization. This is a manifestation of extremely high mental power. Only those with mental power reaching the spiritual realm can have this ability. The effect, seems to be useless. In the picture, a person took out a strange object from nowhere, buckled it on his waist, and the belt extended by itself. Seeing this, Guyu's pupils shrank suddenly. That's right, the action is exactly the same. Although the driver in his hand is a little different from the one in his hand, the startup method is exactly the same. Then, with the insertion of the card, 21 phantoms appeared around this person, and the 21 phantoms looked different. Guyu keenly captured that one of the phantoms was exactly the same as the outline of Jiang Xiaofeng after the transformation. And among the 18 patterns on this person's belt, one pattern is exactly the same as the logo on his driver. Moreover, she also noticed that this person only had the power of Contra at the beginning, but after changing his appearance, he instantly possessed the power of almost God King. Is this the power of Kamen Rider at its peak? Guyu couldn't help but fall into deep thought. And Jiang Xiaofeng was not idle in the following time. His time was very tight, but he didn't have time to waste on this. From that day on, every student who went out to eliminate the evil soul master was required to bring 2 strange instruments. The students did not know what one of them was used for, but the other one was well received by the students. Yes, one of them was a semi-finished product of the evil soul master detector, and the other was an instrument used to collect the soul power fluctuations of the evil soul master. Jiang Xiaofeng also tried to use the spectrum for identification, and achieved good results. Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng simply added the spectrum analyzer to the detector. The coverage of the spectrum analysis is very small, but it is more accurate, which is complementary to the fluctuation analysis. A few weeks later, a brand new style of comics became popular in the Daoluo Federation. The White Snake in it even poked the XP of countless LSPS. Everyone was immersed in the sweet love between Zuzian and the White Snake, and scolded Fahey, the Super Daoluo. A year later, the legend of the White Snake was completed. Because it was the first comic, Jiang Xiaofeng did not portray humans and soul beasts too sharply. The first comic ended with a comedy, without too many knives. For the second comic, Jiang Xiaofeng chose the modified version of Fox Demon Little Matchmaker. Jiang Xiaofeng chose a story of Dongfang Yuchu period. The contradiction between humans and soul beasts began to become acute. Therefore, the hero and heroine of the story ended in tragedy. Countless readers shed tears. Jiang Xiaofeng wanted to plant a seed for the concept of coexistence between humans and soul beasts in this way. At the same time, Jiang Xiaofeng also participated in the construction of Shrek Academy's defense facilities as he wished. However, Jiang Xiaofeng did not participate directly, but participated as a big boss behind the scenes. That is, no one knew Jiang Xiaofeng's true identity, and Jiang Xiaofeng's unrestrained ideas also conquered everyone. After perfecting the Evil Soul Master detector, Jiang Xiaofeng also made a high-power detector that can cover the entire Shrek city. After the detector was installed, the people of the entire Poseidon Pavilion were scared to death. There were hundreds of densely packed light spots on it. At first they thought it was a machine failure. At Jiang Xiaofeng's insistence, they tried to catch the person marked on the detector for careful inspection. Wow, almost every one of them was accurate. Only a few were misjudged as evil soul masters by the detector because of their dark attribute martial spirits. Jiang Xiaofeng also improved the detector again through these data. The elders of the Poseidon Pavilion were completely impressed by Jiang Xiaofeng's talent in soul guides. At Jiang Xiaofeng's suggestion, the Poseidon Pavilion also provided the Evil Soul Master detector to the Daoluo Federation and began to try to deploy detectors in some cities. After the subordinates installed the detector, the Federation discovered that the defense line that they originally thought was impregnable had become like a sieve, with so many Evil Soul Masters mixed in. As a result, a new wave of Evil Soul Master crackdowns were set off. The Holy Spirit Church also hated the inventor of this detector, but because Shrek Academy kept Jiang Xiaofeng's identity extremely secret, they didn't know who the inventor of this detector was. Unknowingly, 3 years have passed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55. 3 years later. In the past 3 years, Shrek City has undergone earth-shaking changes, not only in the defense system of Shrek City. The lives of residents have also become more convenient, but the fundamental nature of society has not changed much, and Jiang Xiaofeng can't do much for the time being. Well, danger level 3.5. Jiang Xiaofeng measured his current danger level. I have to say that the speed at which his danger level increases is really slow, but it's normal. Compared with the war rabbit, Jiang Xiaofeng still lives too comfortably, so the increase in danger level is naturally much slower. Speaking of which, Tang Wulin called recently and said that he would also come to Shrek Academy for an exam in a few days. Zhu Xiaowen's martial soul has become a little strange now. There is no problem at night, and the martial soul will turn into a star wheel ice rod. But now, even during the day, the martial soul will occasionally turn into a star wheel ice rod, and then change back after a few seconds. Zhu Xiaowen even doubted whether his martial soul was broken. However, after Wu Changkan carefully examined Zhu Xiaowen's martial spirit, he finally concluded that Zhu Xiaowen's martial spirit should be evolving slowly. This process will be very long, and may take several years. In these 3 years, Zhu Xiaowen's spiritual power has also improved rapidly. Although it is not as good as Tang Wulin and Zizi, it finally reflects the level of a genius spiritual spirit master. Tang Wulin also successfully absorbed the power of the second seal of the Golden Dragon King, with Jiang Xiaofeng lending him some money, and gave birth to the first blood spirit ring. At the same time, Tang Wulin's cultivation has also reached the second ring level. Jiang Xiaofeng is still at a loss as to how to let humans and soul beasts coexist. What he can do now is to plant a seed in his mind, and it is hard to say whether it can sprout. Jiang Xiaofeng also thought that if humans change to a different cultivation system, will soul rings be needed? After the experiment, Jiang Xiaofeng came to a negative answer. The Zhuanshan Gong of the Tang sect is a set of exercises from the martial arts world, which is fundamentally different from the common cultivation system of Daoluo continent. But even so, when this martial arts technique is practiced on this Daoluo continent, it still inexplicably requires a soul ring to advance. It can be seen that the soul ring system of Daoluo continent is no longer a simple practice system problem, but a problem of world laws, which is also what Jiang Xiaofeng is really worried about. It is impossible to let all the people in the extraordinary world give up practice and turn to scientific research. This is not realistic. In short, now we can only take one step at a time. After uploading today's comics, Jiang Xiaofeng stood up from his seat and stretched his back. Recently, he has been trying to see if he can fully combine soul power with the night system, that is, to develop a new night system, but there has been little progress. Guyu's magic dragon is more about combining the power of the energy bottle with her own power. Without human experiments, this night system is only suitable for Guyu, not for others. There is another thing that makes Jiang Xiaofeng very curious. Why a piece of ordinary metal, when it is hit with a hammer, has life, that is, the so-called spirit forging, soul forging. What is going on? But I have never found a suitable opportunity to study it. It happened to be Sunday today. Jiang Xiaofeng thought about it and decided to take a day off today and call a few friends to go out for a walk. In the past 3 years, Yi Xinglan finally let go of her arrogant personality and became easier to get along with, and her swordsmanship also made rapid progress. After that, with Jiang Xiaofeng's unconscious intervention, Yi Xinglan, Zulizki, Zizi and others gradually became familiar with each other. Not only that, Jiang Xiaofeng also subtly transformed their thoughts and tried to transform them into socialist successors. Jiang Xiaofeng took out his mobile phone and sent a text message to Zizi and Guyu. Are you there? Do you want to come out and play today? Within a minute, Zizi and Guyu both agreed to Jiang Xiaofeng's invitation and made an appointment to meet at the old place. Seeing that Guyu and Zizi agreed to his invitation, Jiang Xiaofeng took another turn on the Sea God Island and pulled out Nana, Zulizki, and Yi Xinglan. Soon, a group of 6 people gathered at the gate of Shrek Academy with a gangster-like posture. I'll treat you this time. Let's go eat something good. As soon as a group of people gathered, Zulizki rushed to say. Zizi curled his lips and asked, did you bring money this time? Zulizki scratched his head awkwardly. Don't worry, I brought it this time. Enough. Originally, when a group of people came out last time, Zulizki was going to treat them, but in the end, Zulizki embarrassedly found that he forgot to bring money again, and finally Zizi paid for the meal. So Zizi asked this question. This time, they did not choose to go to the snack street near Shrek Academy, but came to a farther food city. Whether it is the variety of food or the quality of the food here, it is far better than that snack street, and this is also the place Jiang Xiaofeng often goes to in his spare time. Speaking of which, among the 6 people in the group, Jiang Xiaofeng is the one who is least short of money, and he brings everyone here to eat whenever he has something to do. By the way, what are we going to eat this time? Jiang Xiaofeng asked. Zulizki touched his chin and thought for a while. Well, last time we had roast duck. So this time. Finally, Zulizki's eyes looked at a larger hot pot restaurant. I got it. This time we'll go to Heiang Lao. P.S. I'm too lazy to think of a name. Don't bring the original hot pot restaurant into it. As soon as this was said, everyone cast their doubtful eyes on Zulizki. The price of Heiang Lao is notoriously expensive. If it was someone else, it would be fine, but the key is that there are 2 big stomach kings among the 6 people, the kind that can eat 10 people at once. Zulizki patted his chest with confidence. Don't worry, the money is definitely enough. Seeing this, everyone no longer doubted and stepped into the door of Heiang Lao together. This restaurant is very large. It can be said that, as long as it is seafood, there is nothing that this store doesn't sell, and there are chain stores all over the mainland. As soon as they entered the door, the service staff respectfully invited everyone to a private room for 6 people. After all, Jiang Xiaofeng and the other 6 are also frequent customers of the food city. After getting the menu, Zulizki quickly ordered dozens of seafood dishes, each of which was very expensive. Seeing Zulizki's unrepentant look, Zizi said in surprise, great, fatty, you're spending a lot of money. Yi Zinglan couldn't help but pull Zulizhi. Order less. Don't come to me to borrow money when you run out of money. Zulizhi laughed and said, "It's okay. I've saved this money for a long time. It's definitely more than enough." Soon, one dish after another of seafood was brought to the table, and Zulizhi and Na's eyes almost lit up. After all, these two were the ones who ate the most among the 6 people present. Jiang Xiaofeng and the other 4 only ate a little of each dish, because they had a small appetite. After all, Zulizhi ordered dozens of dishes. Only in this way could they have every dish. Zulizhi and Nana naturally ate without stopping throughout the whole process, especially Nana, who seemed to eat elegantly, but for some reason, the food in front of her disappeared very quickly. Zulizhi seemed to be wolfing down his food, but in terms of eating speed, Zulizhi still couldn't beat Nana. Finally, Zulizhi patted his stomach and sat on the seat in a jelly-like posture, while Nana looked unsatisfied. Seeing that Nana wanted to continue eating, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but knock her on the forehead. "Okay, you should eat less. At worst I'll buy you some more later." Nana touched her head and stuck out her tongue at Jiang Xiaofeng with a smile. Suddenly, Jiang Xiaofeng saw that not far from the window, the distance became noisy, and it didn't seem to be a simple dispute. "Wait a minute, I'll go and take a look," Jiang Xiaofeng said, and ran out in a hurry. The people in the room looked at each other, hurriedly paid the bill, and then ran over. I saw a 5-ring sulking with red eyes, constantly destroying everything around him like a madman. His state was very strange. He was using a normal machete spirit, not an evil spirit master spirit, but he was like crazy, chopping almost everything he saw. At this time, his eyes looked at an unarmed ordinary person, and the knife in his hand began to slowly rise. Not good. Jiang Xiaofeng took out the creation driver and rushed over. Henshin rabbit tank form. Yeah, after the transformation, Jiang Xiaofeng held a drill crusher to block the knife that was about to fall. "Go." Jiang Xiaofeng turned his head and shouted in a low voice. The person lying on the ground nodded, quickly got up from the ground, and staggered away from the scene. Seeing that the ordinary people present had fled, Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly exerted force, knocked the machete in front of him to the ground, and quickly switched the drill crusher to gun mode, and inserted the spider energy bottle into it. Ready go. Ready to go. Vortex break. Vortex break. A spider web sprayed out from the muzzle, tightly binding the sulking in front of him. Jiang Xiaofeng also immediately released the transformation. Click. In the dark, a magenta camera captured it all. Chapter 56. Soki vs Agito. The 5-ring sulking, who was tightly entangled in the spiderweb, was still struggling, but his current actions did not look like those of a rational person. However, how about bringing him to the elders of the Sea God Pavilion? Yi Zinglan suggested. "I think this person should be controlled by something." Nada asked with some concern. "But how should we explain who is controlling this person?" Jiang Xiaofeng patted Nada's head. "Okay, it's okay. I heard that someone in the Tang sect has already competed with me. Some time ago, Auntie Ali told me that she has started to develop a purple level mecha. I guess she hopes that I can come up with something more advanced to suppress her. Now take out the night system, no problem." Seeing that Nada was still a little worried, Jiang Xiaofeng continued. "Besides, the night system is only available to me now. Don't worry." Nada was relieved after hearing this, and everyone was preparing to return to Shrek Academy. Suddenly, a golden figure appeared in front of them. Red compound eyes, golden armor and belt, and a pair of golden horns on the top of the head. Everyone was still confused, but Jiang Xiaofeng's pupils suddenly shrank. Others didn't know who he was, but Jiang Xiaofeng was very familiar with him. Kamen Rider, Agito. Jiang Xiaofeng also took a special look at his belt. It was definitely Agito's belt, not Decade's belt. Agito suddenly rushed towards Jiang Xiaofeng and threw a punch. Jiang Xiaofeng quickly rolled to the side and avoided Agito's punch. Taking this opportunity, Jiang Xiaofeng also quickly took out his belt. Henshin rabbit tank form. Yeah, Agito quietly watched Jiang Xiaofeng complete the transformation, then clenched his right fist and threw another punch. Jiang Xiaofeng quickly grabbed his arm, and then the two of them fell into a fight. Ajito's fists and feet kept appearing on the screen in front of Jiang Xiaofeng, and the alarm sounded constantly in Jiang Xiaofeng's ears. Not good. I'm no match for him in a melee. Jiang Xiaofeng thought to himself, and stomped his left foot on the ground. The spring bounced up, and took Jiang Xiaofeng high into the air. Taka Gatling best match build up. The huge mechanical wings spread out behind Jiang Xiaofeng, and the Eagle Gatling gun also appeared in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand. I remember that Ajito seemed to lack the ability to fight in the air. Maybe it can work. The Eagle Gatling gun kept spraying eagle-shaped energy bullets, shooting at Ajito standing on the ground at a high speed. Suddenly, a gust of wind appeared around Ajito, blocking all the energy bullets. The gust of wind dissipated, and Ajito's body also changed from gold to blue. Ajito, storm form in the distance. A glider like a skateboard flew quickly. Ajito jumped lightly and stood steadily on the glider. Then he gently placed his right hand in front of his belt, and a blue long-handled weapon appeared out of thin air from the belt, and was held in Ajito's hand. Mechanical tornado, gliding mode, storm halberd. Ajito stood on the mechanical tornado and quickly chased Jiang Xiaofeng, blocking all the bullets with the storm halberd. Finally, Ajito caught up with Jiang Xiaofeng, who was flying rapidly. The speed of mechanical tornado's gliding mode was still faster than the flying speed of Eagle Gatling form. With a wave of storm halberd, Jiang Xiaofeng was directly shot down from the air. Turtle Watch best match build up armor that chases time. Turtle Watch form. Yeah, Jiang Xiaofeng's form changed again. His right arm was a green turtle shell-like shield, and his left arm did not have any special weapons. Oh. Ajito jumped off the mechanical tornado. Jiang Xiaofeng's left eye flashed, and the movement of the whole world slowed down instantly. Watch energy bottle. Accelerate your own time. The acceleration of the genius form is precisely using the power of the watch energy bottle. For Jiang Xiaofeng, the whole world slowed down, but it was different for others. Ajito was surprised to see that Jiang Xiaofeng's speed had increased so fast that even the storm form could not keep up. Although his eyes could catch it, his body could not keep up. Under Jiang Xiaofeng's high-speed attack, Ajito was caught off guard and was attacked directly on his belt. Ajito's belt flashed a few times, and it changed directly from the original change ring to a magenta driver. Then, a burst of garbled code flashed on his body, and Ajito changed into another knight. Jiang Xiaofeng was stunned when he saw this, and he couldn't help but blurt out a sentence. Oh, decade. Kamen Rider was about to cancel the transformation, but when he heard this, his face instantly became full of black lines. He took out a new card directly from the card box. Kamen Rider, Masked Ride, Kabuto King. The armor on his body changed again, and a red horn slowly rose on his forehead. Change Beetle. PS. All the sound effects of the magenta belt are prolonged. The white belt does not have this sound effect. Wait a minute. Calm down. Calm down. Jiang Xiaofeng said hurriedly. Attack ride, clock up, speed up. After all, Kabuto is a professional speed player, not comparable to Sochi, who changed his career halfway. After a few attacks, Jiang Xiaofeng suffered his first setback. Seeing that Jiang Xiaofeng was beaten and his transformation was cancelled, Kazushi Kado also cancelled his transformation. Not bad. The characteristics of Sochi are still usable. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled bitterly and got up from the ground. Wang Xiaoming, when did you come? You didn't come 3 years ago. Kazushi's face darkened again. Don't play tricks. I know this. The 5 people watching on the side were already completely dumbfounded. Just now these two were fighting to the death. How come they seemed to know each other in the blink of an eye? Jiang Xiaofeng waved to them. It's okay, you go back first. I'll be there soon. Seeing this, although Nada and others still had a lot of questions to ask, they finally held them in their hearts and waited for the right time to ask. Kazushi said straight to the point. I have been observing you for a while. You should not be from this world. I have heard the story of Daoluo continent in a world. Although I haven't read it, I know that these things should never appear in this world. As he said that, Kazushi took out 2 comic books from behind, with Legend of the White Snake and Fox Demon Little Matchmaker written on the cover respectively. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled awkwardly. It was still embarrassing to be discovered as a plagiarist. Kazushi continued, you guessed right. I came to this world 3 years ago. The god level fluctuation at that time was me. I want to quickly understand this world. The fastest way is naturally to find the strongest person to ask questions, and the one who makes the least noise is undoubtedly the soul beast side. Then why are you going to ask why there is such a big fuss again? Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. Kazushi answered in his usual leisurely tone, because I didn't expect that this world's tolerance is so poor. I just used a little bit of the power of the ultimate form, and this world couldn't bear it. If two knights in the ultimate form fight each other, it is likely to bring great trauma to this world. Later, I thought, since the commotion has already been big, it doesn't matter if it gets bigger. So you demolished the wall of the Stardao Great Forest. Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help asking. Kazushi nodded. Yeah, why not demolish it? Anyway, I can't stand it. The soul beasts don't seem to be able to make up their minds about me, so I didn't act rashly. I see, then everything can be explained. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded thoughtfully. Okay, let's talk about your story. I have seen many time travelers like you, and many of them have been killed by me. As he said that, Kazushi took out several identical knight cards from the card box, with Zio and Decade being the most, and the other knights also had a few. These are the ones who traveled through time and inexplicably gained the power of a knight, and then called themselves Kamen Rider. However, their actions were totally unworthy of the name, so they became these cards. As for you, you are still too weak now, and you are powerless, no matter what you want to do. Having said this, Kamen Rider paused. However, at least so far, you have not tarnished the name of Kamen Rider, so I will reluctantly recognize you. Chapter 57 A new storm has emerged. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled happily. This was the happiest time he had smiled since he came to this world. He had always held himself to the standards of a Kamen Rider. Although he felt that he had a clear conscience, he still hoped that someone could truly recognize him and his identity as a Kamen Rider. Thank you. Jiang Xiaofeng scratched his head a little embarrassedly. Kazushi smiled slightly, then said seriously, however, if you continue to develop like this, you may be reduced to ashes at any time. I have observed your physical strength, and you can't even withstand a danger level of 5.0, and the genius form requires a danger level of at least 6.0. You should know all this. Hearing Kazushi's words, Jiang Xiaofeng calmed down instead. He nodded. Well, I know that for most people, a danger level of 5 is already the limit, and this most people includes me. Oh. Kazushi was a little surprised. Aren't you afraid? Jiang Xiaofeng thought for a while. I used to be afraid, but then I saw now being happy, and you being worried every day, and I was no longer afraid unconsciously. Protecting the important people you have. Interesting. Kazushi smiled. Then how do you plan to solve this problem? Jiang Xiaofeng shrugged. I don't know. I can only take it one step at a time. Maybe I'll find some other solutions in the future. Okay, let's not talk about this. You have been researching on Poseidon Island for so long. What have you gained? Kazushi asked. Yeah. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. The golden ancient tree of Shrek Academy is the center of the laws of this Dalwo continent. Perhaps I can start from this aspect. I see. You think the same as I do. Kazushi said thoughtfully. Jiang Xiaofeng continued. However, I lack a very important thing. Authority. Even if I have the power of the genius form and can destroy the entire Dalwo continent, I still don't have the authority to intervene in the laws of Dalwo continent. That's true. Kazushi leaned against the wall and said, my power can destroy the entire god realm, but I still can't get the control or authority of the laws. Even this world is constantly rejecting me and wants me to leave this world. In other words, you can't stay here forever? Jiang Xiaofeng asked with a frown. Kazushi nodded. Yes, I have been fighting against the rules of this world. Although it can't do anything to me, if it continues like this, the world itself will be severely damaged. After all, I'm the destroyer of the world. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded somewhat sadly. In this kind of problem, after all, can I only rely on myself? Forget it, I'll just be alone. I've been through this for so many years. Tonight, you wait for me on Poseidon Island. Although I can't stay here forever, I can still help you. I'm the head chef of your school. If you have any questions, you can come to me. Goodbye. After saying that, Kamen Rider waved his hand, and a dimensional wall appeared beside him. He stepped into it, and the dimensional wall disappeared. Jiang Xiaofeng's mouth twitched. It's great to have teleportation. Well, let's just ride the motorcycle back honestly. Brother, who was that person just now? What's going on with you? As soon as he stepped into Shrek Academy, Nada and others surrounded him and asked. Jiang Xiaofeng thought for a while. I don't know if you can accept this concept. He is also a Kamen Rider like me. Kamen Rider Decade, but from another world. Another world? Everyone asked in unison. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. Well, to be precise, he doesn't have his own world. He can only travel in different worlds. Everyone was still half believing and half doubting. Guyu asked first, how does he travel in different worlds? Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Guyu and explained. He has extremely powerful dimensional power, which allows him to travel to any world where Kamen Rider exists. At the same time, he also has the power of all Kamen Riders. Kamen Rider? Are there many of them? How strong is the strongest one? Guyu has heard this word more than once, and the previous inquirers did not get the answer she wanted. Well, Kamen Riders exist in many worlds. As for the strongest one, Jiang Xiaofeng thought, the strongest can create, modify, and destroy time and space, and cause and effect at will, and control time at will. At this time, Guyu was so shocked that she didn't know what to say. Creating and destroying time and space, even if the power of the entire god realm is gathered, it cannot be done, but such a great power can be controlled by an individual. Are there any other powerful ones? Guyu continued to ask. Well, for example, invincible. Literally, invincible power, immune to all attacks, all bad attributes, ignoring time pause. There is also the power to manipulate black holes at will, and some can rotate planets and smash them on your head. Wait, there are too many. What about you? What kind of strength do you think you can reach at your strongest? Guyu interrupted Jiang Xiaofeng's words. Jiang Xiaofeng was stunned for a moment. Me? I don't know. There is no limit to Kamen Rider. Looking at Guyu's unbelievable look, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help laughing and said, you don't think that power is obtained for free? Or do you think that, as long as you practice step by step, you can get such power? Guyu showed a puzzled expression. Jiang Xiaofeng didn't need to guess that Guyu must want to say, isn't it? What are you thinking about? The price is high. There are gains and losses. It's a very simple truth. Many times, Kamen Rider is using his life to exchange for power, because they have to do so. At the end, Jiang Xiaofeng's voice slowly lowered. Yes, if there is really no other way. Perhaps, this method can be used to exchange for the opportunity to use the genius form. But in this case, the genius form must be used at the most critical moment. Hearing this, Guyu's heart trembled for some reason, as if there was something bad going on. Not only Guyu, Nana seemed to feel something as well. She looked at Jiang Xiaofeng, as if she wanted to say something, but finally swallowed what she was about to say. As for ZZ and others, they felt that their brain capacity was not enough. What dimension, cause and effect, planet, they couldn't understand at all. Anyway, it was very powerful. Okay, let's go find Aunt Yali to see what's going on with this person, and talk about the rest later. A green light sprinkled on the Mad Soul King, and under the soothing of the green light, the Mad Soul King gradually calmed down. Yali stood up and frowned, saying, just as you guessed, a spiritual seed was implanted in this person's sea of consciousness. I observed the characteristics of this seed, and it should be from an evil soul master. Yali lowered her head and pondered. The Holy Spirit Church sent so many people to our Shrek city before. Even now, there should be many fish that slip through the net. It seems that they are plotting something big. By the way, Yali seemed to suddenly remember something. How did you subdue him? He has the cultivation of the Soul King level. You should not be able to defeat him. As soon as this was said, everyone immediately focused their attention on Jiang Xiaofeng, and saw Jiang Xiaofeng took out the Creation Rider driver. This is a knight system I tailored for myself. It is somewhat similar to the battle armor. It can show different forms and different abilities by inserting different energy bottles. Facts have proved that the Shrek Academy during the Daosan period was still okay, and there was no desire to snatch it. In addition, Tangman had Ling Zichen as a shield, and the mages were not suitable, so Yali did not doubt anything, just asked Jiang Xiaofeng to demonstrate the use of the driver on the spot, and then nodded with satisfaction. Seeing her happy look, Jiang Xiaofeng estimated that they could show off in front of Tangman again. After all, no matter how close Shrek Academy and Tangman were, they still had a small-scale competitive relationship. At night, Jiang Xiaofeng walked out of the dormitory door, and a dimensional wall appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng. Jiang Xiaofeng was stunned for a moment, and then walked in. P.S. The original book club group is full. The new book club group number is 955,636,702. And I will challenge subject 1 for the second time tomorrow. I hope I can pass it smoothly this time. Chapter 58 Training A. As Jiang Xiaofeng stepped into the dimensional wall, the whole world began to spin. Jiang Xiaofeng also felt a strong sense of dizziness. Under the influence of such a strong sense of dizziness, Jiang Xiaofeng could not help but stagger and hold his head with his hands in pain. The dizziness came and went quickly. When Jiang Xiaofeng stood firm, opened his eyes and looked around, the whole world had completely changed. The boundless desert and the hurricanes that kept rising. However, the temperature around was not very high, and it was a very suitable temperature. It was just that in such a place, let alone walking, it was difficult to stand firmly in such a place, because the sand under the feet was constantly blown by the wind. Here you come. Kamenshi suddenly came from behind Jiang Xiaofeng. Jiang Xiaofeng was surprised to find that Kamenshi walked on such a sandy ground, as if it were flat ground, and the surrounding wind and sand seemed to have no effect on him. I have observed your fighting. These years of training have laid a good foundation for your body, Kamenshi said in a praising tone. But, Kadoyoshi changed his tone, your fighting ability is still too weak. The fighting training in this world is not bad, but it is not suitable for you. Their fighting skills are all prepared for martial souls and soul skills, and you don't have these. Hearing this, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. He knew this, but what could he do? He was good at scientific research, but fighting was really not Jiang Xiaofeng's forte. Not only him, but even the battle rabbit was extremely weak in fighting. The 60 abilities of the genius form only used one of acceleration and purification. If the 60 abilities of the genius form were fully exerted, it could at least fight Black Hole E4260. Next, Kadoyoshi threw something similar to a driver over. Put on this set of armor. It's specially prepared for you. Jiang Xiaofeng curiously placed the driver on his waist, and the belt extended automatically. Before Jiang Xiaofeng could react, a set of armor instantly enveloped Jiang Xiaofeng. So heavy. This was Jiang Xiaofeng's first reaction. Moreover, the center of gravity of this set of armor seemed to be constantly moving. Jiang Xiaofeng, who was already unable to stand steadily on the sand, fell to the ground instantly. Before he could get up, a voice came to his ear. Kamen Ride Decade. Just when Jiang Xiaofeng was still curious about why Kamen Ride suddenly transformed, Kamen Ride moved. Kamen Ride, who had transformed into Decade, kicked Jiang Xiaofeng in the chest. Wow. Jiang Xiaofeng felt a sharp pain in his chest, and the whole person flew into the air, and then fell heavily on the sand dune. Then, a gentle force came from the chest area of the armor, and the originally burning pain in the chest was instantly healed. Jiang Xiaofeng, who fell to the ground, wanted to get up immediately, but he felt an extremely stiff feeling in his joints, as if his whole body was rusted, and it was extremely difficult to move. This armor will limit your danger level. After putting on the armor, your danger level will no longer increase. Only your most basic physical fitness will be improved. Kazushi finally explained. In this way, at least you will not die directly when the danger level reaches 5.0. After that, Kazushi kicked Jiang Xiaofeng again, and the built-in treatment device of the armor will instantly heal your injuries and ensure that you will not be seriously injured. Looking at Jiang Xiaofeng, who fell to the ground and covered his chest in pain, Kazushi added, however, the pain will be doubled. As for time, you don't have to worry. 1 year here is equivalent to 1 night in the outside world. Moreover, your physical age will be fixed at 12 years old in this space, and only your physical fitness will slowly improve. Kazushi smiled. After all, there is no knight more caring than me. Jiang Xiaofeng fell to the ground and supported his body with his hands with difficulty. The severe pain made Jiang Xiaofeng's face a little distorted. What kind of armor is this? Jiang Xiaofeng also tried to remove the armor on his body. The result was obvious. He failed. Kazushi raised his right hand and slowly clenched his fist. I call it the training armor. After saying that, Kazushi rushed over again. Jiang Xiaofeng collapsed on the bed powerlessly. This guy, won't he get tired? At this time, sunlight began to shine in through the window. Thinking about what Kazushi did in that space, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but want to complain. He is really kind. Beating me for a whole year, is this something a human can do? And during this year, Jiang Xiaofeng was finally able to stand firm. Then he continued to be beaten. And the more he beat me, the harder I got. At first, it was just punching and kicking, and then I started to use skills directly, and I almost did a dimension night kick. But I have to say that the defense of this set of armor is still good. And, as long as you can really throw a punch, the strength is still considerable. I guess if I can really control this set of armor, then it will be no problem to manipulate monsters with my body. Forget it, it's time to get up. Speaking of which, Tang Wulin and his team seem to have come here today, just in time to wait for them to pass the exam, and go see them. As for now, the golden ancient tree still needs to be studied. The center of the plane law is a vital thing. If the spirit ring system does not change, humans and spirit beasts can't really coexist. Golden ancient tree. Jiang Xiaofeng stroked the rough trunk of the golden ancient tree. Jiang Xiaofeng can be said to have encountered many difficulties in studying the plane law. After all, he did not have any good research methods for the law. He could only use the most primitive big data analysis, collect all the data of the golden ancient tree, and try to find what he wanted. He even didn't know whether there was any data related to the law in the collected data. It is very likely that nothing will be found in the end of the research. But there is no way. Science is like this. Although it is said that after analyzing all possibilities, the only answer can be found. But the premise is that you have to find all possibilities. As usual, Jiang Xiaofeng's instrument still recorded a chaotic fluctuation, and there was no substantial progress at all. It seems that this conventional research method is not feasible. Forget it, let's go and see how Tang Wulin and his team's assessment is. Tang Wulin will definitely be fine, but he is afraid that Zhu Xiaowen will fail. Her mutant martial spirit is really useless before it fully evolves. When Jiang Xiaofeng arrived at the examination site, they had already entered the 3-court trial stage. That is, the 3 elders will make a comprehensive assessment and give the final score. Jiang Xiaofeng found out after a little inquiry that this level is already dispensable for Tang Wulin. After all, his total score has reached 90 points. Even if the score of this level is 0, he is still far above the passing line. And Zhu Xiaowen's current score is only 59 points because he can't exert his full strength during the day. Although because of the special recruitment policy for Jiang Xiaofeng, Zhu Xiaowen only needs to reach 50 points to pass. But if it does not reach 60 points, I'm afraid that the future treatment will be much worse. But in the end, they gave Zhu Xiaowen an overall evaluation of 8 points, and finally she was successfully admitted. Tang Wulin and Zhu Xiaowen left the examination room happily. For them, being admitted to Shrek Academy is a great joy. As soon as they walked out of the examination room, Tang Wulin and his friends saw Jiang Xiaofeng waiting for them at the entrance with a smile. As soon as Tang Wulin saw Jiang Xiaofeng, he rushed over and gave Jiang Xiaofeng a big bear hug. Oh my god. Jiang Xiaofeng quickly adjusted his center of gravity and finally caught Tang Wulin, who rushed over steadily. Don't you know how strong you are? Tang Wulin smiled and then let go of his hands. Zhu Xiaowen also smiled and shouted, "Captain." After a moment of silence, Zhu Xiaowen said again, "Thank you." Jiang Xiaofeng was stunned for a moment, obviously not understanding why Zhu Xiaowen suddenly said thank you. She's talking about your super bracelet. Tang Wulin reminded from the side. Oh, you're talking about this. Jiang Xiaofeng finally reacted and then waved his hand indifferently. It's okay. Without me, you can still get into Shrek Academy. Jiang Xiaofeng's words were indeed correct. After all, in the original book, they didn't have the help of the super bracelet, but they still got into Shrek Academy. On the contrary, because of his butterfly effect, Zhu Xiaowen's exam was more suspenseful. If Zhu Xiaowen failed the exam because of this, Jiang Xiaofeng would feel sorry for her. P.S. You have passed the first subject, don't worry. Chapter 59, 8-Man Gang. By the way, Xiaofeng, where are Guai and Zizi? Why are you here? Tang Wulin asked curiously. He looked around for a long time, but couldn't find any trace of Guai and Zizi. Seeing that Tang Wulin was still looking for Guai and Zizi, Jiang Xiaofeng interrupted him helplessly. They are still in class. Do you think everyone is like me? In fact, Jiang Xiaofeng is really the most idle one among all the Shrek students. Because Shrek Academy really doesn't know how to teach Jiang Xiaofeng, it can only adopt a free-range approach. As long as Jiang Xiaofeng doesn't cause any damage, everything else is up to you. Some time ago, the Shrek school increased Jiang Xiaofeng's access rights again. Now, the entire library is open to Jiang Xiaofeng. It can be said that there is no place that Jiang Xiaofeng can't go in Shrek Academy now, and even the research on the golden ancient tree has turned a blind eye. By the way, where are you going now? Jiang Xiaofeng asked. Now, Tang Wulin thought for a moment. Let's go to the dormitory first. There are many things that need to be packed. I will go out with everyone tonight. Jiang Xiaofeng turned his eyes to Zhu Xiaowen and nodded, obviously with the same idea as Tang Wulin. Okay, I'll go tell everyone. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. Then, see you tonight. Soon, it was night time, and Jiang Xiaofeng once again called all his gangsters out. When Tang Wulin and Zhu Xiaowen saw Jiang Xiaofeng and his group of 6, they were dumbfounded. Especially Tang Wulin. Yi Xinglan's unreasonable appearance still left a deep impression on Tang Wulin. However, after a brief exchange, Tang Wulin let go of his prejudice against Yi Xinglan. After 3 years of not seeing each other, Yi Xinglan has changed a lot. The former arrogance has long disappeared, and he has become much more easygoing than 3 years ago. Gu Yu and Nana stared at Jiang Xiaofeng and observed him carefully. For some reason, they always felt that Jiang Xiaofeng seemed to have changed a little, but they couldn't tell where he had changed. Everyone was walking and talking, and soon, they came to a beverage bar. The beverage bar was already crowded, and Jiang Xiaofeng's group was so large that it was obviously impossible to eat in this beverage bar. Just when they were about to change to another store, Zhu Xiaowen and Tang Wulin's bracelets suddenly rang. Everyone couldn't help but be stunned. Zhu Xiaowen and Tang Wulin quickly clicked on the display on the bracelet, and a tiny screen was projected from the bracelet. On the screen, a red light spot was constantly flashing. Zhu Xiaowen subconsciously exclaimed, "There is an evil soul master." The noisy beverage bar instantly quieted down, and everyone stared at Zhu Xiaowen. Then they all ran away. Only Jiang Xiaofeng and 8 others were left standing there in a daze, as well as a waitress and a strange blonde boy. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at his detector, which did not respond at all, and then looked at the position indicated on Zhu Xiaowen and Tang Wulin's bracelets, only to see that their bracelets pointed directly at the waitress who was standing there in a daze. Okay, it's my fault. Jiang Xiaofeng patted his head. He already understood what was going on. Tang Wulin and Zhu Xiaowen's bracelets were made 3 years ago. The evil soul master detection device had defects. The girl in front of him was none other than Yuan, who possessed the fallen angel martial spirit. When she first stepped into Shrek City, a similar incident also occurred. A large number of Shrek defenders surrounded her. Yuan was stunned when she saw dozens of purple level mechas around her, led by a battle armor master. Later, Yuan identity card was made by Jiang Xiaofeng himself. When he handed it to her, he specifically stated that the identity card must be carried with her at all times, even when taking a shower. The strange boy suddenly jumped up, and golden light burst out from him. A golden sword appeared in his hand, and a pair of white wings spread out from behind him. Under his feet, 3 circles of purple halos slowly rose. I knew I was right. You are indeed an evil spirit master. As he spoke, the blonde boy flapped his wings and flew quickly towards Yuan-Yehui. Yuan-Yehui frowned, and a pair of black wings spread out from her back. 2 circles of purple spirit rings rose under her feet. Oh. The blonde boy sneered. Fallen angel martial spirit. Interesting. Zhu Xiaoan was eager to watch the fun and urged Jiang Xiaofeng, Captain, transform quickly. There is an evil spirit master here. In the past 3 years, Jiang Xiaofeng also told Zhu Xiaoan that he was a Kamen rider. After all, several people who were familiar with him knew about it. It would be a bit unreasonable to hide it from Zhu Xiaoan. Jiang Xiaofeng said unhappily, "Stop, don't make trouble." As he spoke, Jiang Xiaofeng took out the drill crusher gun mode and fired a shot in front of the blonde boy, who was flying towards Yuan-Yehui, and then shouted, "Stop." The blonde boy who was flying suddenly felt his hair stand on end, and he quickly stopped his body in the air. In front of him, an energy bomb flew past. "Stop." Jiang Xiaofeng shouted. Seeing the gun in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand, the blonde boy did not act rashly, but shouted in the air, "I'm Lezengaiu from the Holy Angel family. You also saw that she has the fallen angel martial spirit, and is definitely an evil spirit master. Why are you stopping me?" Yuan-Yehui on the side stared at Jiang Xiaofeng and his group of 8 curiously. She still remembered that it was the shouting of a girl among them that led to the current situation. Jiang Xiaofeng shouted with a gun. She is a second-year student of Shrek's external academy. She has been officially certified by Shrek Academy and is not an evil spirit master. At least before she actually hurts people, you have no right to arrest her. Lezengaiu frowned and asked, "How do you prove the authenticity of what you said? I'm also a second-year student. Why have I never heard of such a person?" Jiang Xiaofeng cast an inquiring look at Yuan-Yehui. He remembered that at this time, Yuan-Yehui usually appeared in a disguised manner and claimed to be a Titan Giant 8 martial spirit. After all, girls also need to save face. However, Yuan-Yehui obviously did not understand what Jiang Xiaofeng meant. After all, she and Jiang Xiaofeng were not familiar with each other, and Yuan-Yehui's ID card was also handed over to her by Jiang Xiaofeng after it was made. She had no idea who made her ID card. Jiang Xiaofeng sighed and then took out the badge and ID card of the inner courtyard student. "I'm an inner courtyard student of Shrek Academy. I also participated in her identity review." Lezengaiu wanted to continue to say something, but his housekeeper stepped forward and stopped him. "Master, his badge is real. It can't be faked." "But, can the words of the inner courtyard students be trusted? I think this inner courtyard is also." "Master, be careful with your words," the housekeeper shouted in a low voice, and a wave of invisible mental fluctuations prevented Lezengaiu from finishing his words. Lezengaiu had to leave in a huff. Yuan-Yehui flew down from the sky, looking at Jiang Xiaofeng with a slightly curious look. In the end, she still didn't ask anything, but simply said, "Thank you." "Ah, you called me?" Zizi suddenly appeared and said, "Get lost." Jiang Xiaofeng pushed Zizi aside unhappily, then turned to look at Yuan-Yehui and said, "It's okay, the incident was caused by us, and it's my duty to help you out." After a few pleasantries, Yuan-Yehui left. After all, they were not familiar with each other. As the night got darker, everyone returned to their respective dormitories, and Jiang Xiaofeng did the same. Jiang Xiaofeng just arrived at the door of the dormitory and saw a figure leaning against the wall of the dormitory, obviously waiting for his arrival. "Are you here, Kamen?" she said lightly, and then he waved his hand lightly, and the dimensional wall appeared in front of him again. "It's up to you whether you want to continue, as long as you feel that you can completely protect the people you want to protect." After speaking, Kamen she disappeared in the dimensional wall. Jiang Xiaofeng gritted his teeth and finally stepped into the dimensional wall. Although he was afraid of Kamenshi's training, he was more afraid of not being able to protect the people he wanted to protect. In this case, he had no reason to retreat. Chapter 60 School starts. Jiang Xiaofeng fell heavily on the sand and felt a pain like a splitting in his chest. Although the pain in his chest was healed the next moment, the pain could not be erased. Oh, no. Kazushi's voice still did not reveal any emotion, as if he was mocking, and as if he was asking, how is it possible? Jiang Xiaofeng gritted his teeth and stood up. In this world, Kazushi would give Jiang Xiaofeng time to rest every day. But at this moment, Jiang Xiaofeng's body was exhausted. Jiang Xiaofeng took heavy steps and slowly ran towards Kazushi, using all his strength to punch Kazushi. But the rusty joints made the punch extremely slow, and Kazushi squatted slightly to avoid the punch. Driving the cardbox sword, he gently hit Jiang Xiaofeng's calf horizontally, and Jiang Xiaofeng, who was unstable, fell to the ground again. Kamen Rider looked down at Jiang Xiaofeng, who fell to the ground, and said leisurely, with your hip pulling force method, don't think you can hit me. This punch, at least 80% of the force is wasted in useless places. At this point, Kamen Rider emphasized, come again. The correct way to exert force. Jiang Xiaofeng stood up again, but was soon knocked to the ground again. I don't believe it, I can't find it. Huh. Jiang Xiaofeng let out a long breath, while lying on the bed. After all, he has been beaten for 2 years, and it was not in vain. As Jiang Xiaofeng continued to explore, he finally found some inexplicable skills. The effect of doing this is that the punching speed is a little faster, although Kamen Rider can still easily avoid Jiang Xiaofeng's attack. But this is normal. For this kind of fighting training, 2 years is still too short. Fortunately, there is a special space provided by Kamen Rider, otherwise the time is really not enough. Today is the first day of the school year at Shrek Academy. Tang Wulin and his friends gathered at Lingbing Square to attend the opening ceremony. Zizi and Guyu also officially entered the first grade today to study. However, these have little to do with him. I heard that the inner courtyard is going to undergo reforms recently. The Sea God Pavilion is preparing to raise the minimum standard for entering the inner courtyard to a one-word battle armor master. Jiang Xiaofeng and Naya are 2 exceptions. Naya is an exception because she is too talented and is the direct disciple of the Sea God Pavilion master. As for Jiang Xiaofeng, because he is too weird, the Sea God Pavilion does not know whether the knight system created by Jiang Xiaofeng is considered a battle armor. It feels that this so-called knight system is more powerful than the one-word battle armor. In the end, they decided not to care about Jiang Xiaofeng anymore, just as before, as long as he did not cause any damage. Suddenly, Jiang Xiaofeng came up with a bold idea. He quickly got up and synthesized several metals used in build armor again. The principle of this synthesis is actually to create some miniature nuclear fusion reactions to achieve atomic recombination. It is really very simple, but if there is a slight mistake, the entire Shrek may be gone. Since this atomic structure was inspired by Pandora's box, this alloy was named Pandora alloy. Soon, Jiang Xiaofeng found Tang Wulin through the positioning on the super bracelet, but this location is the Forging Association? No entry for outsiders? Why did Tang Wulin come here? Isn't this the forging room of the president of the Forging Association? With doubts, Jiang Xiaofeng knocked on the door of the forging room. Who is it? Didn't you see that it says no entry for outsiders? An irritable voice came from inside the door. Obviously, among the elders of Shrek, the only one with such a personality is the president of the Forging Association, Feng Wuyu. Jiang Xiaofeng shouted again helplessly, Elder Feng, it's me, Jiang Xiaofeng, a student in the inner courtyard. Hearing Jiang Xiaofeng's voice, Feng Wuyu opened the door of the forging room in doubt. Jiang Xiaofeng has been in the inner courtyard for 3 years, and has done so many things. As an elder of the Sea God Pavilion, Feng Wuyu naturally knows Jiang Xiaofeng. What's more, some time ago, Feng Wuyu asked Jiang Xiaofeng to upgrade his forging table. The more Jiang Xiaofeng redesigned the forging table, the more Feng Wuyu liked it. Not only did it have more functions, but it was also more convenient to operate. There was no comparison between the previous forging table and the current one. He even heard that, if Jiang Xiaofeng was not too young now, Yunming was going to nominate Jiang Xiaofeng as a member of the Sea God Pavilion. But as far as he knew, Jiang Xiaofeng usually studied soul guides, and had no experience in forging. Why did Jiang Xiaofeng come here? Seeing Feng Wuyu open the door, Jiang Xiaofeng said hello and walked in with a little curiosity. As soon as he entered the forging room, Jiang Xiaofeng heard a clanging sound. Speaking of which, it was the first time for Jiang Xiaofeng to enter the forging room. After all, he didn't know how to forge and didn't have much interest in forging. Xiaofeng, what are you doing here? Facing Jiang Xiaofeng, Feng Wuai also slightly restrained his temper. He still had a very good impression of Jiang Xiaofeng. Teacher Feng, I'm here to find my friend Tang Wulin. I want him to try to help me forge some metal. Jiang Xiaofeng looked towards the place where the forging sound was constantly coming from. Is Tang Wulin forging here now? Feng Wuai patted Jiang Xiaofeng's shoulder carelessly. Don't be polite to me. Tang Wulin is forging here now. Just tell me what you want to forge, and I'll help you forge it later. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled awkwardly and nodded, then took out 3 pieces of metal from his body and said, Elder Feng, can you help me melt these 3 pieces of metal in a ratio of 6:4:3? The so-called melt forging is to make several different metals into alloys. According to this world, the alloys made in industry seem to be called dead objects. This made Jiang Xiaofeng very curious. Feng Wuyu took the 3 pieces of metal from Jiang Xiaofeng's hand, touched them in his hand, frowned and asked, how come I have never seen these pieces of metal before? Where did you get them? Jiang Xiaofeng scratched his head and said, I got this by chance during the experiment. The alloy made according to this ratio is extremely hard, so I want to try it. How about the alloy made by melt forging? Feng Wuyu's eyes revealed a trace of fanaticism. Okay, even if you don't give me a penny today, I will get these pieces of metal. If I can't, I won't be called Feng Wuyu. Soon, Tang Wulin completed his Kaianduan work. Feng Wuyu picked up Tang Wulin's work, took a look at it, and threw it aside. It's okay, you go first. I have something else to do. Come to me tomorrow. After that, Feng Wuyu hurriedly drove Tang Wulin out of the forging room. The 3 pieces of metal were placed steadily on the forging table, and Feng Wuyu turned on the furnace and began to heat the 3 pieces of metal. However, after heating for a long time, the 3 pieces of metal on the forging table did not change at all. Feng Wuyu touched them with his hand, and the temperature of the 3 pieces of metal did not rise at all. Feng Wuyu was not discouraged, but excitedly shouted to Jiang Xiaofeng, good boy, you really made a treasure. I don't believe it today. You wait here. Wait. Before Jiang Xiaofeng finished speaking, Feng Wuyu hurriedly ran out of the forging room, obviously running out to find some tools or something. Looking at the empty forging room, Jiang Xiaofeng said blankly, I want to say that this thing can withstand the temperature of nuclear fission. Only I have something that can melt it. Although he didn't know what Feng Wuyu was looking for, Jiang Xiaofeng knew that the entire Daoluo continent couldn't even think of making a temperature higher than nuclear fission. There was only a nuclear fusion reaction furnace next to Jiang Xiaofeng's dormitory, and the temperature there was several times higher than nuclear fission. It can be said that, if you want to forge these 3 pieces of metal, the only place in the entire Daoluo continent that has this condition is next to Jiang Xiaofeng's dormitory. What's more, it is hard to say whether this metal can be forged using the Daoluo continent method. Chapter 61. Forging Against Time. After a while, the door of the forging room was smashed open, and 2 old men rushed in from the door. No, to be precise, one person was dragging another person tightly. These 2 people were none other than Zuoshi and Feng Wuyu. I tell you, if you can't burn these pieces of metal red, it proves that all your years of practice have been in vain. Feng Wuyu provoked with beautiful words. Upon hearing this, Zuoshi immediately exploded. If this was said by someone else, Zuoshi could still not care, but when this was said by Feng Wuyu, the nature was different. You fart. How can I not handle these pieces of broken metal? Is my name Red Dragon Daoluo for nothing? I will burn it in minutes. Looking at the 2 old naughty boys in front of him, Jiang Xiaofeng inexplicably smelled the smell of gay people. In the end, Jiang Xiaofeng silently complained in his heart, it's a pity that you 2 don't go to get the marriage certificate. Feng Wuyu came to the forging table with full confidence and placed the 3 pieces of metal on the table steadily. Old man, get ready. That's mine. Jiang Xiaofeng tried to interrupt, Get lost, I know. Zuoshi retorted, and then released his red dragon martial spirit. The flames from his hands continued to flow to the 3 pieces of metal on the forging table, and even roasted the forging table red. Well, it seems that these 2 people will not listen to Jiang Xiaofeng for a while. In fact, Feng Wuyu and Zuoshi's martial spirits are both fire attributed dragon martial spirits. The quality of their martial spirits is almost the same, and the temperature of the flames is the same. But now, Feng Wuyu needs to take care of forging, so he can only call Zuoshi to assist him. But after a while, Zuoshi and Feng Wuyu both felt something was wrong. The forging table was burned red, as if it was about to melt, but the 3 pieces of metal did not move at all. Old man, can you do it? Feng Wuyu asked Zuoshi, whose face was flushed. Ahem, I haven't even tried my best yet. Now I'm going to use my real skills. Zuoshi shouted, and a layer of armor instantly covered his body. This is Zuoshi's 3-character battle armor. As the battle armor was put on, the temperature of the flames released by Zuoshi soared again. The entire forging table began to show signs of melting. But it didn't matter. The 3 pieces of metal did not move at all, but the surface temperature rose slightly. It was not until this time that Feng Wuyu turned his head and looked at Jiang Xiaofeng and said, "Good boy, what kind of monster metal did you come up with?" In Feng Wuyu's view, such metal can be said to be very useless, or it can be said to be a priceless treasure. For a forger, it is a priceless treasure, because it is impossible to find a harder metal than it in the entire Daoluo continent. Even the heavenly forging metal is the same. But for most soul masters, it is very useless. If even Zuoshi can't heat it to a high enough temperature, then no forger in the entire Daoluo continent can forge it, including the god craftsman. Even the most basic shaping cannot be done. Well, I have something that can melt these pieces of metal. Jiang Xiaofeng said weakly. Why didn't you say so earlier? Feng Wuyu slapped the red forging table in anger. Jiang Xiaofeng brought Zuoshi and Feng Wuyu to the door of his dormitory. At the door of Jiang Xiaofeng's dormitory, there was a closed pipe that was not too big or too small, like a ring. Under the pipe, there were a lot of devices that the little devil couldn't understand. Of course, Zuoshi and Feng Wuyu couldn't understand this thing either. Elder, wait for me, I'll modify it again. As he said, Jiang Xiaofeng ran to the ring and modified it extensively, leaving Zuoshi and Feng Wuyu where they were. This ring was nothing else but the reactor that Jiang Xiaofeng used for nuclear fusion reactions. Since this instrument is not started now, it is still very safe, even if it is bombed with missiles. After a few hours, Jiang Xiaofeng built a simple forging table. The bottom of the forging table was connected to the reactor by Jiang Xiaofeng with a special pipe. Jiang Xiaofeng also adjusted the reactor to reduce the temperature of the nuclear fusion reaction so that the metals would not be melted directly. Finally, Jiang Xiaofeng threw the tools in his hand aside, patted the dust on his body and said, "Elder Feng, I have finished the modification and can start." As soon as these words came out, Feng Wuyu, who was originally drowsy, instantly became energetic. "Huh, you kid has done it. Well, put on this first." Jiang Xiaofeng took out 3 heavy clothes, threw 2 of them to Feng Wuyu and Zuoshi, and quickly put the remaining one on himself. Then, Jiang Xiaofeng quickly activated a shield and covered the area in the shield. "What is this?" Zuoshi asked in confusion, but he still put on this strange clothes as he was told. Feng Wuyu did the same. The clothes were very heavy, and no one knew what kind of fabric they were made of. Moreover, there is a helmet attached to the clothes, which greatly affects the vision after wearing it. Life-saving stuff. Jiang Xiaofeng began to make the final adjustments to the reactor. Once this thing is started, this shield will completely become a life-forbidden zone. Even the God King dare not step into it, because the previous nuclear fusion reactions were all carried out in a closed reactor. Jiang Xiaofeng did not need to take these protective measures. But this time is different. This time, the temperature of nuclear fusion is required for forging. That is, the forger must face the temperature of nuclear fusion. Although the forging only requires 1.3 million degrees Celsius, which is far less than the temperature of the core of the sun, it can definitely be called a life-forbidden zone. After all the preparations were ready, Jiang Xiaofeng started the nuclear fusion reactor. It seemed that something in the reactor began to rotate continuously, and the rotation speed was getting faster and faster. A creepy red light began to emanate from the forging table. Even through the protective clothing, Zuoxi and Feng Wuyu could feel the terrifying temperature coming from the table. And the 3 pieces of metal finally became red hot under this terrifying high temperature. Originally, they were somewhat dismissive of Jiang Xiaofeng's statement, but now it seems that Jiang Xiaofeng's statement is really not exaggerated at all. If it weren't for this layer of protective clothing, they might not even have ash now. I really don't know how such protective clothing is made. The countdown is 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Elder Feng, you only have 3 minutes and 40 seconds to try forging. Once this time is reached, I must immediately shut down the reactor, and even the protective clothing can't last too long. Jiang Xiaofeng said as he stood in front of the reactor switch. Feng Wuyu nodded, and then took out his forging hammer, and prepared to start forging. Wait a minute. Feng Wuyu stopped. In such an environment, even if he was as irritable as Feng Wuyu, he had to be careful. A new forging hammer was thrown over by Jiang Xiaofeng. Even through the protective clothing, Feng Wuyu could feel that this forging hammer had not been forged. While he was wondering, Jiang Xiaofeng explained, Elder Feng, your forging hammer can't withstand the temperature here. Use this one. Feng Wuyu took the forging hammer without hesitation and began to forge the 3 pieces of metal. Feng Wuyu did not start forging immediately, but tapped the 3 pieces of metal gently and tried to listen to the echo from the metal. Good boy, these 3 pieces of metal are really treasures. Some are hard, and some are very tough. Even without forging, they can have a harder hardness than Xianduan metal. More than 30 seconds passed. Feng Wuyu also officially started his forging, and the Pandora alloy hammer in his hand kept hitting the 3 pieces of metal. The volume of the 3 pieces of metal was also shrinking. 20 seconds later, the 100 forgings were completed. But this is not over yet. Feng Wuyu wanted to complete the melt forging in the remaining 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Feng Wuyu began to hit the 3 pieces of metal more violently, and the volume of the 3 pieces of metal was further reduced. Finally, 3 red lights rose, and the 1000 forgings were the first grade. If it was an ordinary metal, Feng Wuyu would only need to swing 6 hammers from the beginning to the 1000 forgings. But now, from the beginning to the completion of the 1000 forgings, he has spent a full minute and 40 seconds. In the next 2 minutes, whether Feng Wuyu could complete the melting and forging of 3 pieces of metals he had never known before was also a huge test for him. As for the more advanced spiritual forging, perhaps only a master craftsman on this Dalo continent could complete the spiritual forging of this alloy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62 Outer Courtyard. After the 1000 forgings were completed, Feng Wuyu stopped hammering and began to gently knock the 3 pieces of metal inward. As Feng Wuyu continued to knock, the 3 pieces of metal began to squeeze inward and fuse. The light they emitted became stronger and stronger. Finally, with 4 seconds left, the 3 pieces of metal completely fused in proportion. The 1000 forgings of Pandora alloy were completed. Jiang Xiaofeng immediately turned off the reactor and took out the creation driver and put it on his waist. Eternal weapon Phoenix Robo. Phoenix robot form. Yeah, wait, what is this armor of yours? Feng Wuyu had forged Pandora alloy himself, so he could naturally recognize that the armor on Jiang Xiaofeng's body and the metal on the forging table came from the same source. Jiang Xiaofeng did not answer, but stretched out the mechanical arm of his left arm and directly grabbed the Pandora alloy in a red hot state. Put it in a special container. The Pandora alloy that had just been synthesized was its only chance to be shaped. Once it cooled down completely, it would not be melted, even if the temperature was increased by dozens of times. At the bottom of the container, a layer of silver gray liquid slowly rose, covering the entire alloy, and Jiang Xiaofeng began to operate quickly. If someone used an atomic microscope, to observe these liquids at this time, they would be shocked to find that this was not a liquid at all, but a robot at the atomic level. Under Jiang Xiaofeng's quick operation, each robot was accurately attached to the atom. Of course, these things cannot be seen from a macroscopic perspective. Jiang Xiaofeng breathed a sigh of relief. This alloy has met the requirements of being a Chuanqi armor. It only needs to be slightly modified before it can be loaded into the Chuanqi drive. If the entire body armor is replaced with this 1000 forging Pandora alloy, the data of all forms of Chuanqi will be improved, and the defense and shock absorption capabilities will also be greatly improved. In simple terms, it is the thickest armor and the most poisonous attack. However, it is obviously not enough to use only such a small piece. Adding it now will affect the overall balance of the armor, which is not worth the loss. We can only wait until such metal is forged in large quantities. After everything was completed, Jiang Xiaofeng turned around and said, smiling at Feng Wuai and Zuoshi, Elder Feng, Elder Zuo, thank you very much. Zuoshi frowned and asked with some concern, Xiaofeng, will your reactor explode? As long as it is operated normally, it will not explode. Jiang Xiaofeng said affirmatively, this nuclear fusion reactor is different from other things. It is absolutely impossible to detonate it with a bomb. What if it explodes? If it explodes, let me calculate it. Jiang Xiaofeng thought for a while. Considering that it is not designed as a weapon and the equivalent is not large, the explosion temperature will not be too high. Comprehensively calculated. Hearing this, Zuoshi's heart gradually settled down. At least there will be no survivors in Shrek Academy. Everyone will be evaporated in an instant, including the ultimate Daoluo. Jiang Xiaofeng calmly said the final answer. What the hell? The next morning. What? It's just a reactor. Jiang Xiaofeng put the bag in the dormitory of the outer courtyard, muttering, it's not a nuclear bomb or hydrogen bomb. At that time, Zuoshi hurried to the Sea God Pavilion and told him about the reactor. The elders of the Sea God Pavilion were so scared that they immediately asked Jiang Xiaofeng to dismantle the reactor and unanimously decided to demote Jiang Xiaofeng to the outer courtyard. But this is normal. In the eyes of the people of Daoluo continent, the power of the 12th level Soul Guide Cannon, that is, the power of the intercontinental missile, is already a disaster of annihilation. But if the intercontinental missile hits, Shrek Academy will at least have survivors. But this thing is more powerful than nuclear weapons, and the elders of the Sea God Pavilion can't bear it. Forget it. I'll go to the Tang sect in the future. I hope the hearts of the Tang sect will not be so fragile. The dormitory of the outer courtyard is also a single room, but it is no longer like the inner courtyard, where each person has a villa. It's been 3 years, and I really didn't expect that I would have a day to go to class. P.S. The 3-year period has expired. Soon, Jiang Xiaofeng came to the first grade department. At this time, the classroom was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Only a female voice could be heard. Jiang Xiaofeng knocked on the classroom door without much hesitation. The people who were giving lectures in the classroom were Shen Yi, who had not been seen for a while, and Wu Changkong, who had not been seen for 3 years. Seeing that the person coming was Jiang Xiaofeng, Shen Yi did not ask too many questions, but simply said to the whole class, I would like to introduce you to a transfer student, Jiang Xiaofeng, not a soul master. Welcome everyone. Sparse applause rang out, and it was obvious that everyone was a little dissatisfied with this transfer student. Tang Wulin and others were stunned for a moment when they saw Jiang Xiaofeng, and then a smile that could not be suppressed appeared on their faces. Jiang Xiaofeng, find an empty seat in the back. We are about to start selecting class committee members. I hope you can. Forget it, whatever you want. Only you can do so many things. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded and walked to the back of the classroom. When passing by Tang Wulin and their seats, Jiang Xiaofeng smiled at them as a greeting. Wu Changkong's cold voice rang out. Okay, next we have to select 7 class leaders. First, I will announce 2 class leaders. Forging committee member, Tang Wulin. Design committee member, manufacturing committee member, repair committee member, Jiang Xiaofeng. As soon as these words came out, the whole class went crazy. There were obviously 7 class leaders, but Wu Changkong had arranged them this way, and 4 of the 7 places were gone. especially when a transfer student whose background was unknown took up 3 places alone. No one could tolerate this. Several students raised their hands, obviously very dissatisfied with Wu Changkang's decision. However, Shen Yi did not look at the students who raised their hands, but directly explained, the reason for this decision is that in this regard, Tang Wulin and Jiang Xiaofeng cannot have any competitors. Tang Wulin is a 4th level forger, and as for Jiang Xiaofeng, at this point, Shen Yi paused, looked around the whole class and said, if you can also make armor that is comparable to the one-word battle armor by yourself, I have nothing to say. Suddenly, the class was speechless. They didn't even touch the edge of the one-word battle armor, but this fierce guy had already made it by himself. The production of a one-word battle armor involves many aspects. If one wants to make a one-word battle armor, repair, design, and production must be mastered. Good guy. I thought it was a relative, but it turned out to be a cross-river dragon. Wu Changkang, who was leaning against the wall, said lightly, later, you will enter the martial arts arena, and you already know the rules of the competition. But now, I will add a rule. If all of you cannot defeat Jiang Xiaofeng, then Jiang Xiaofeng will be the class leader. Huh. Jiang Xiaofeng was confused. Wu Changkang then looked at Jiang Xiaofeng and said, Jiang Xiaofeng, you can use the knight system you made. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Wu Changkang in disbelief and said, Teacher Wu, are you sure? This is not too. Among this group of students, no one can exceed level 50, and 3 years ago Jiang Xiaofeng could already completely defeat the Soul King wearing a one-word battle armor. Now, not only has Jiang Xiaofeng's danger level increased, but he has also been training in hell for 3 years with Kazushi Kadora in fighting. Wu Changkang did not answer Jiang Xiaofeng's question, but showed Jiang Xiaofeng's transformed appearance on the projection. This is what Jiang Xiaofeng looks like after using the knight system. He has a strength far beyond that of an ordinary Soul King. At the same time, he has different forms. Wu Changkang switched the pictures and roughly showed some of Jiang Xiaofeng's forms. Each of his forms has different abilities. Conservatively estimated, he has more than 500 forms. Suddenly, the class exploded again. This thing is too difficult to beat. At least more than 500 forms, each with different abilities. But fortunately, the whole class is fighting him alone. Otherwise they really can't beat him. I'll give you a quarter of an hour. You can discuss tactics freely. After a quarter of an hour, enter the martial arts arena. The martial arts arena is a place very similar to the Soul Ascension platform, and it is also a virtual world. Speaking of which, Jiang Xiaofeng has not been to a similar place for a long time. Soon, everyone lay in the simulation cabin, and Wu Changkang also pressed the start button. A feeling of dizziness came. After this feeling dissipated, Jiang Xiaofeng and the others officially entered this virtual world. Although this world is a virtual world, it is not completely a virtual world. If it is just a purely virtual world, then most people will not be able to exert their full strength here. In this world, Jiang Xiaofeng's knight system can also be used normally. But, why do I feel unreal here? I didn't have this feeling when I went to the Ascension platform before. Chapter 63 Selection ends. When Jiang Xiaofeng entered a similar spiritual platform before, he felt that he had come to a real world. But now it is different. He always feels that everything here is fake, unreal, and very strange. Forget it. Never mind. Transform first. It will be embarrassing to overturn here. Ninja helicopter hench in the purple and green armor was instantly put on Jiang Xiaofeng. The reason for choosing this form is that Jiang Xiaofeng needs to scout this unknown terrain, and the helicopter energy bottle has such ability, scout, and accurately lock the enemy. But the reconnaissance ability of the helicopter energy bottle needs to be played at high altitude, and the rotation of the propeller will also produce huge noise. In this way, Jiang Xiaofeng will immediately expose his position. Although Jiang Xiaofeng does not think that they can beat him together, it is better to be more stable. The ninja energy bottle perfectly solves this problem, invisible and silencing. The two work together to scout, and don't be too cool. This, another new form. Shen Yi said helplessly. Although Wu Changkang said nothing, his slightly twitching mouth corners had already exposed his thoughts at the moment. Jiang Xiaofeng took off the propeller wing behind him, and lifted it high. The propeller wing immediately began to rotate at high speed, and the huge airflow drove Jiang Xiaofeng to rise slowly. Then, the ability of the ninja energy bottle was activated, and Jiang Xiaofeng's body instantly became transparent, and the huge noise disappeared. Strange, where is the person? I just heard a sound here. Several people parted the grass and searched carefully here, but found nothing. Jiang Xiaofeng was quietly suspended in the air. The enemy locking device of the night system, combined with the power of the helicopter energy bottle and the unobstructed view in the sky, allowed Jiang Xiaofeng to quickly lock all members of the class. The law of victory has been decided, Jiang Xiaofeng said softly. The speed of the propeller slowed down, driving Jiang Xiaofeng to fly quickly towards a lone student. Although the silencing ability of the ninja energy bottle is strong, it cannot achieve 100% silencing. If the two sides are very close, it is still easy to hear the sound. The same is true for this student. After Jiang Xiaofeng flew to him, he finally heard some strange sounds. He turned around and looked, but he only saw a high-speed rotating propeller, and then he was eliminated in an instant. Jiang Xiaofeng used the same trick again, and eliminated nearly half of the students in an instant. These were some students with weaker forces who could be eliminated in an instant. Finally, when Jiang Xiaofeng was about to use the same method to eliminate a student, a dark golden light shone on him. Under the shining of the dark golden light, Jiang Xiaofeng's figure finally appeared. I knew that you really have the ability to be invisible and fly. Several people slowly walked out of the woods, and each of them had 3 to 4 soul rings flashing on their bodies. Jiang Xiaofeng turned around and looked in surprise. He didn't even notice anyone hiding here just now. The display inside the mask quickly retrieved their information. After looking at the information displayed in the mask, Jiang Xiaofeng nodded in sudden realization. So that's how it is. I didn't expect you to have a hidden soul skill, and it's quite powerful. You can even hide from the night system's detection for a short time. Jiang Xiaofeng was talking about Zhu Yacheng, a student holding a sickle among the 3 people who surrounded him. His martial soul is called Death Scythe, a dark attribute strong attack martial soul, but he didn't expect that he actually has a hidden soul skill. However, Jiang Xiaofeng looked around at the 3 people in front of him, the giant bear Yang Niangsha, the immortal Zhu Yacheng, and the imprisoned Luo Gixing. He didn't expect that they would run together. Let's not talk about whether you can beat me. If I want to run, can you stop me? Suddenly, a loud voice came from the sky. There are currently 49 contestants left. The terrain has been reduced by 50%, and the flight limit is 20 meters. Listening to the voice, it should be Shen Yui's voice. Then, the entire competition area began to distort. When everything in front of them became clear again, they were already deep in a new competition area, and a large number of students suddenly appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng. This, a slap in the face at the speed of light. The terrain is shrinking, and the venue is restricted from flying. Where can he run to? This must be a pie transaction. Brother, is it really okay for you to target him like this? Shen Yi looked at Wu Changkan puzzled. Wu Zhangkan shook his head lightly. No, to be a qualified squad leader, he needs to establish his authority. But, I don't think he really wants to be the squad leader. No. Wu Zhangkan shook his head again. It's not that he doesn't want to, but he doesn't care about it. Otherwise, he could have deliberately given up at the beginning. With his character of liking to find loopholes, he would not have thought of this. Shen Yi nodded, and then asked again, brother, do you think so highly of him? Yes. Wu Zhangkan nodded and said, although he doesn't have any leadership qualities, and is usually very unremarkable. However, he will silently care about the people around him, and he can also connect the hearts of different people tightly. Yi Xinglan, Gu Yu, Zizi, are all unruly people, but they have all become good friends. The key lies in Jiang Xiaofeng. Keizoku, Pirate, Densire, Train, Best Match. A layer of frame extends from the driver, blocking everyone's attack. Are you ready? Build up the punctual rebel Keizoku Rasaya. Pirate train form. Yeah, a crossbow appeared in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand, and the pirate launched the bow. Jiang Xiaofeng dodged the attacks, while constantly pulling the train on the crossbow. The light on his left shoulder kept flashing. Trains of all stations, set off. Express trains, set off. Fast trains, set off. Pirate trains, set off. Various green train-shaped energy bombs kept shooting in all directions, and almost every shot would severely injure or eliminate a student. Jiang Xiaofeng pulled the train on the crossbow again. This time, Jiang Xiaofeng did not release it immediately, but kept accumulating power. Trains of all stations, express trains, fast trains, and pirate trains, set off. PS. The sound effects are cool when the words are low, but it's a pity that there is no he say he sword. The green train-shaped energy bomb with 4 carriages was fired instantly, and the energy bombs kept flying around in the surrounding space, eliminating a large number of students again. This should be the boss's most powerful weapon. Zizi, who was hiding and watching the battle, complained. Zhu Xiaoyan, Tang Wulin, and Guyu nodded in agreement. After the big move, except for Jiang Xiaofeng and Tang Wulin, who were watching the battle, only Nether Wu Sido, Green Snake Zheng Yiren, Giant Bear Yang Niangsha, Undead Zhu Yucheng, and imprisoned Luo Gixing were left. Zheng Yiren and Zhu Yucheng were also severely injured, and lost their combat effectiveness. Do you want to continue fighting? Jiang Xiaofeng put down the crossbow and asked, you are not my opponent. Wu Sido said unconvinced, what's the point of relying on armor? If you have the ability, take it off and fight us. Jiang Xiaofeng shrugged, I made this myself, why can't I use it? If you have the ability, make one yourself. Wu Sido was speechless. There was no way, she really couldn't make it. At this point, she didn't try to use her own martial soul fusion technique again. She knew that, even if she used the martial soul fusion technique, she would not be the opponent of the person in front of her. In the end, Wu Sido and the others chose to admit defeat, and the position of class monitor was finally determined. As for the positions of the 2 deputy class monitors, Wu Changkan chose Guyu and Wu Sido, the 2 strongest people under Jiang Xiaofeng. Tang Wulin has not yet developed, and is not Wu Sido's opponent for the time being. In the afternoon, Jiang Xiaofeng was about to return to the dormitory, but found that someone was waiting for him at the door of the dormitory. Elder Feng. Why are you here? Jiang Xiaofeng asked curiously. Feng Wuai looked around and said like a guilty thief, Fengzi, can you still make that furnace of yours? Yes, what's wrong? Feng Wuai looked around again, and after confirming that there was no one around, he whispered in Jiang Xiaofeng's ear, I'll take you to a place, let's do it quietly. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Feng Wuai in surprise, and Jiang Xiaofeng saw fanaticism in Feng Wuai's eyes. Chapter 64. Where is this? The 2 of them went around in the academy and finally dived to the bottom of the sea god lake. In order to facilitate diving, Jiang Xiaofeng had already used the shark and submarine as experimental forms. Feng Wuai groped around the bottom of the lake and pressed lightly at a place. A metal frame slowly rose, revealing a bottomless passage. In the passage, air continued to flow out, making it completely impossible for the lake water to enter. Without hesitation, the 2 of them immediately entered the secret passage, and the metal frame closed up, without a trace of water seeping in. The secret passage was pitch black. If it weren't for Jiang Xiaofeng's night system carrying a lighting function, he really couldn't see what was inside the passage. This is our Shrek Academy's shelter. Even if to level 12 soul guide cannons come, they can't blow it up here. Feng Wuai said confidently, your furnace, even if it explodes here, it's okay. Seeing Feng Wuai's confident look, Jiang Xiaofeng didn't have the heart to hit him. This thing is nuclear fusion, not nuclear fission. If it weren't for the insufficient equivalent, this thing is really many times more powerful than a nuclear bomb. But it doesn't matter, why don't you check who made this thing? How could there be a possibility of error? Jiang Xiaofeng did it right away. After lighting up the shelter's lighting system, he took out a large number of tools from behind. Feng Wuai was dumbfounded. With so many things, even the largest storage soul guide couldn't hold them. Where did this kid get them from? Looking at the shelves being quickly built, Feng Wuai said, what are these things? I don't understand. The little devil said, I'm a liberal arts student, I don't understand either, let's just be a king. While building the framework of the reactor, Jiang Xiaofeng proudly introduced, Elder Feng, don't think this thing is so dangerous, it is actually very useful. Not only can it be forged with its high temperature, It can also be used to synthesize substances that did not originally exist in Daolo continent, such as brand new metals, and so on. Good boy, if you say this, I won't be sleepy anymore. Feng Wuyu felt more and more that his choice was too smart. For a forger who loves forging, nothing can be more attractive than forging, especially brand new metals and brand new alloy formulas that have never been seen before. This is absolutely fatal to Feng Wuyu. The most important thing is that, even if it is just such a small reactor, it only needs a little modification to bear the sole power supply of several Shrek cities. P.S. The energy on Daolo continent is soul power, or energy similar to soul power. As introduced at the beginning, they can use wind power to create soul power. Oh my god, Feng Wuyu subconsciously wanted to say it's impossible, but then he remembered the terrifying temperature he felt yesterday. It seems that it is not impossible to calculate it this way. Feng Wuyu is an elder of the Sea God Pavilion after all. Even if he is not proficient in soul guides, he knows more or less. How much does it consume? He asked subconsciously. It needs a lot of water. Jiang Xiaofeng said this, and continued to work. Then what? Feng Wuyu asked impatiently, after waiting for the next sentence for a long time. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Feng Wuyu with a look, like he was looking at a mentally retarded person, and then that's it. Water electrolysis produces hydrogen. Isn't hydrogen enough? Feng Wuyu didn't understand a word of what he said afterwards. He only understood one thing. Anyway, this thing only needs water to work. Yes. Jiang Xiaofeng said, and continued to get busy. And the whole afternoon, Jiang Xiaofeng soaked in this shelter, and Feng Wuyu was guarding the entrance of the shelter with trepidation, fearing that he would be discovered by other elders of the Sea God Pavilion. However, this reactor is not something that can be completed in one afternoon, even if Jiang Xiaofeng is the one who made it. After an afternoon, the reactor only completed a large frame, and the core part was not started at all. At night, Jiang Xiaofeng walked into the dimensional wall that suddenly appeared at the door of the dormitory as usual, and started today's training. But this time, it seems that there is something different. Kamen Rider turned his head to look at Jiang Xiaofeng, who came out of the dimensional wall. Here you are. He put away the Witch Knight card in his hand, and threw the training armor to Jiang Xiaofeng. Jiang Xiaofeng put on the training armor skillfully. At this time, he had adapted to the constantly changing center of gravity of the training armor, and could basically walk on the sand, as if it were flat ground, unless he was subjected to strong external forces. For example, Night Kick. Jiang Xiaofeng's punching movements were no longer as stiff as they were at the beginning, and he could occasionally hit Kadoyoshi a few times. Seeing that Jiang Xiaofeng had put on the training armor, Kadoyoshi also completed his transformation, took out the driving card box sword from his waist, and slowly walked towards Jiang Xiaofeng. Guyu was about to return to the dormitory when a bizarre light curtain suddenly appeared in front of her. What is this? Guyu looked at the light curtain in confusion. As the Silver Dragon King, she was also extremely sensitive to space. From this light curtain, she vaguely felt extremely strong spatial fluctuations. Suddenly, the light curtain in front of Guyu moved towards her quickly. Just as she was about to dodge, a strong spatial force bound her firmly in place. Guyu was so scared that she quickly closed her eyes. She didn't know what the result of being covered by this light curtain would be. However, after a long while, Guyu did not feel any discomfort. She opened her eyes curiously, only to see that the surrounding scenery had changed dramatically. This was an endless desert, and the violent sandstorms almost made Guyu unable to stand. Guyu's face was full of confusion at this time. She didn't know why she came here. Suddenly, she heard a fight not far away. Guyu turned around and saw a magenta figure fighting with a person wearing heavy silver white armor. She knew the magenta person, and it seemed to be called Emperor. No, this cannot be called a fight. It should be called a one-sided slaughter. The sharp blade of Emperor Ki kept slashing across the opponent's chest, and the person wearing silver white armor fell heavily to the ground. Strange. Guyu looked at the person fighting with Emperor Ki in confusion. His armor looked so strange. It didn't feel like it was used to enhance combat effectiveness, but more like it was used to restrict himself. Why did he wear such armor? Stand up. Emperor Qi pointed his card box sword at the person lying on the ground. With your current strength, what can you do to fulfill your promise with Nada? You should know that, if you want humans and soul beasts to coexist, you will have to face what kind of enemies. At that time, you can only rely on yourself. Emperor Qi kicked again. You seem to have strength far beyond your peers, but you should know that your real enemies are not them at all. The man in silver white armor climbed up from the ground with difficulty. I know from the mask, a voice that Guyu was very familiar with came. Xiaofeng. Guyu exclaimed subconsciously, but she found that she could not do anything at all. She couldn't even speak the most basic words. The dimensional wall appeared again, once again covering Guyu. Where is this? This time, Guyu appeared on a grassland, with a few families faintly in the distance. Silver Dragon King, I didn't expect you to escape here. A noble voice sounded. Guyu's heart instantly dropped to the freezing point, and she turned her head and looked. In front of her was a man in blue armor, holding a golden trident, with long blue hair fluttering behind his head. However, his figure was somewhat illusory. Tang-san, Guyu said in shock. However, Tang-san in front of her did not seem to be looking at her, but at another direction. Guyu followed Tang-san's line of sight, and saw a beautiful woman with long silver hair. There were several golden halos on the woman's body that firmly imprisoned her, and there was a dark red blood at the corner of her mouth. Father, wait a minute. A man flew towards Tang-san quickly, and Tang-san swung the trident in his hand, and several more golden halos flew out, imprisoning the man in place. Wulin, there are some things you don't understand. Later, father will explain to you again. After saying that, Tang-san waved the trident in the air. Dad, Mom please, we need to eradicate the remnants of the dragon god. Two figures condensed in the void, a middle-aged man holding a giant hammer, and a woman with long blue hair. Yes. The middle-aged man nodded, and swung the giant hammer in his hand towards the silver-haired woman. Pure red swift jumper rabbit, double rabbit form, super dangerous super fast a red after image flashed and blocked the silver-haired woman. That bout, is it Xiaofeng? But what form is this? Guyu looked at the figure that suddenly appeared in confusion. Jiang Xiaofeng held a strange-shaped giant sword and stood in front of the silver-haired woman without giving an inch. Chapter 65 The Future. Full match Tisu. Full match break. Full match break. The giant blade wrapped with red energy intersected with the golden giant hammer. But in the end, Jiang Xiaofeng still failed to block this attack and was hit hard by the giant hammer. Xiaofeng. Guyu and the silver-haired woman exclaimed almost at the same time. Jiang Xiaofeng immediately took out a gun and was about to take action. Don't move. The golden trident was against Tang Wulin's neck. I know how powerful this gun is. It's not an exaggeration to call it a divine weapon. Dad, you. Tang Wulin looked at Tang-san in disbelief. In order to destroy the Silver Dragon King, and for the stability of the God Realm, everything is worth it. Tang-san said lightly. Jiang Xiaofeng, you are a talent, but you are destroying the balance of Daoluo continent. Huh, you are still like this, as if everything is for justice. Jiang Xiaofeng stood up from the ground with difficulty, took off the energy bottle on his belt, and took out a new energy bottle from behind. What is that? Guyu's face was full of confusion. She had never seen the energy bottles Jiang Xiaofeng used before. The silver-haired woman seemed to have seen something terrifying. She struggled desperately, trying to break free from the uncertain wind wave. Wait a minute, brother, you can't use this now. Brother? Guyu wondered, is she Miona now? At this time, Guyu had already guessed something, but she still couldn't believe it. How could such a thing be possible to cross time? There's no way. Jiang Xiaofeng pressed a button on the energy bottle, and the energy bottle instantly changed into a black object like a brick. The brick was inserted into the driver fiercely, and electric current spread from the driver. Jiang Xiaofeng turned the joystick with difficulty, built up. The violent electric current turned almost everything around into a thunder prison. Everyone was blown away by the airwaves generated by this transformation, and the uncertain wind waves bound to Guyuna and Tang Wulin also dissipated. Sorry Guyuna. Jiang Xiaofeng picked up the full energy bottle blasting sword on the ground. I may not be able to accompany you on the road ahead. Card camera, this is the last thing I can do for you. Just matched Isu. The magenta energy covered the entire sword, and Jiang Xiaofeng roared and swung the giant blade towards Tang Heo, Yin and Tang San. As the master of the plane is immortal, and the master of the plane is immortal. But for some reason, Tang Heo felt the threat of death from the magenta energy. He wanted to escape, but he was completely unable to move. Only Tang San. He raised the golden trident with difficulty to resist. No. Just match break. The giant blade passed, and Tang Heo and Yin disappeared instantly, leaving no trace, and Tang San's body became even more illusory. You killed my parents. Tang San's voice was angry for the first time, but you won't live long. My divine consciousness can still exist for a while. Silver Dragon King, she must. Tang San looked at his abdomen in disbelief, and a golden spear pierced him. Father, I will not forgive you. Tang Wulin's eyes flashed with hot golden light. You actually dared to hurt my most important friend. Tang San's already weak divine consciousness completely dissipated under the power of the golden dragon spear. Gu Yuna also ran over quickly to hug Jiang Xiaofeng, who was about to fall to the ground. At this time, Jiang Xiaofeng had already lifted the transformation, and his body was also turning into light particles and dissipating bit by bit. Jiang Xiaofeng pressed the black brick again, and the brick changed again, turning back into an energy bottle. Jiang Xiaofeng placed it in Gu Yuna's hand and said weakly, "This genius energy bottle is very important. Perhaps it can make humans and soul beasts achieve true coexistence, and soul beasts may also be able to break through the limitations of the heavenly tribulation." At this time, Gu Yuna was already in tears. She hugged Jiang Xiaofeng tightly and opened her mouth, but she didn't know what to say. Jiang Xiaofeng took out another USB flash drive and placed it in Gu Yuna's hand. "Inside, all the plans I made are there, and there is also something for you. Remember, the abysses." Before Jiang Xiaofeng finished speaking, he turned into light particles and completely dissipated. All the pictures were frozen in an instant. You guessed right, this is what will happen in the future. A man came over from nowhere. Formally meet. Kamen Rider Decade. Kamen Rider Decade. Guyu was about to say something. Kamen Rider Decade continued. "I know you, the Soul Beast Co-Lord, the main body of the Silver Dragon King, Guyu. Not only me, Jiang Xiaofeng also knows." Guyu's pupils shrank suddenly. "Silver Dragon King, this is his biggest secret. How could they know?" "Don't worry. If I want to attack you, you have no ability to resist. Even if you are still the Dragon God." Kamen Rider comforted Guyu, although this way of comforting was a bit. "Weren't you fighting with Jiang Xiaofeng just now?" Guyu asked doubtfully. "Nothing, just a little trick." Kamen Rider waved his hand nonchalantly. Guyu didn't think about it anymore, but directly asked the question she wanted to know most. What exactly did Jiang Xiaofeng use just now, and why did he become like this after using it? Kamen Rider smiled. "You care about him a lot." Guyu's face flushed slightly, but she didn't mean to give up asking. "You should know that, although Jiang Xiaofeng's soul power has not improved, his physical fitness and other abilities are slowly improving." Guyu nodded. She had witnessed all of this with her own eyes. "This is because his danger level is constantly increasing." Seeing Guyu's puzzled look, Kazushi continued to explain. "Danger level is an attribute that everyone has. Most people's danger level is above 1.0. A small number of people's danger level can reach 2.0. Jiang Xiaofeng's danger level is above 3.0, and it is still rising." "But," Kazushi changed the subject, "danger level is not without limit. Danger level 5.0 is the limit for most people, and the same is true for Jiang Xiaofeng now. Even with my training, his limit will not exceed 6.0. Then, what will happen if it exceeds it?" Guyu asked subconsciously. Kazushi pointed at Jiang Xiaofeng, who turned into light particles. "It will disappear like that. Then, can we not break through this level?" Guyu asked anxiously. "Of course he can, unless he is forcibly promoted. He cannot reach this level." Kamen Rider said slowly. "But, he wants to free you from the curse of the Soul Beast Lord. He wants to protect you. Therefore, he must use the Genius Energy Bottle, and the minimum usage requirement of the Genius Energy Bottle is danger level 6.0. Guyu muttered to himself at a loss. "But, in this case, won't he? Will die." Kamen Rider continued what Guyu had not finished saying, but he doesn't care. In order to protect the people he wants to protect, he is willing to sacrifice his life. From this point of view, he is a qualified Kamen Rider. Looking at the somewhat hesitant Guyu, Kamen Rider continued, I can't stay in this world for a long time, so I can't help him too much. He can only rely on himself. Whether to let him disappear alone or to fight with him, no matter what the result is, it's up to you to decide. Having said that, Kamen Rider waved his hand lightly, and a dimensional wall appeared in front of him. Kazushi walked towards the dimensional wall. Before leaving, he looked at Guyu and said, if you have made up your mind, come to see me tomorrow night. Jiang Xiaofeng will be there too. Looking at Kazushi who was about to leave, Guyu shouted, where should I find you then? Kazushi smiled and said, you will know. Goodbye. After that, Kazushi disappeared in the dimensional wall. Another dimensional wall appeared, and before Guyu could react, she was back at the door of her dormitory. Guyu stood there blankly, her eyes full of confusion. But gradually, the confusion in her eyes became less and less. Finally, her eyes became firm. The magic dragon flew from nowhere, surrounding Guyu and calling happily. Chapter 66 Kamen Rider, Aboro. Class is in session. Stand up. Hello, teacher. Wu Changkang and Shen Yi began today's class with the classic 3-part class. In the first class, Wu Changkang talked about mecha knowledge. Most people in the class listened very carefully, especially Tang Wulin. He has been particularly interested in mecha since he was a child, and he listened very attentively at this time. Jiang Xiaofeng was a little uninterested. There was no way he knew all this stuff, and he had basically read all the books in the library in 3 years. If Jiang Xiaofeng went up to talk, he could talk in more detail. Jiang Xiaofeng even had some new ideas, such as adding an arc reactor, so that the power of the mecha would be stronger, the combat effectiveness would become stronger, and so on. However, he always felt that Guyu was a little strange today, and Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't tell what the problem was. Wu Changkang naturally saw Jiang Xiaofeng's reaction, but Wu Changkang was helpless about his behavior. There was no way to let him know more than himself. Forget it, as long as he doesn't make trouble. Time soon reached noon. In the outer courtyard of Shrek Academy, the unified teaching time is only in the morning, and there are no classes in the afternoon. The afternoon time is generally left to the students to use freely. When school is over, Jiang Xiaofeng, Guyu, Tang Wulin and Wu Sido were left behind because they were all class cadres and needed to group the class members. The requirements for grouping are very simple. Excluding the class committee, the whole class is divided into 7 groups. Each group must ensure that there are all professions such as forging, design, etc., and the strength between groups must be balanced. The allocation of each profession is handed over to the committee members of the corresponding profession to allocate. Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the 3 professions he needed to allocate and scratched his head in annoyance. This kind of thing is not that difficult, but it is mainly troublesome. Let Jiang Xiaofeng do scientific research and other things. No matter how troublesome he is willing, but this kind of thing Jiang Xiaofeng really has no interest in. What a trouble. Jiang Xiaofeng scratched his hair frantically. Wu Sido looked at Jiang Xiaofeng with contempt. Can such a person be a good class monitor? Guyu walked gently to Jiang Xiaofeng. It's okay, I'll accompany you. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Guyu in surprise, only to see that Guyu had already begun to help him earnestly assign members to each group. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled happily. Although he didn't know what happened, Guyu seemed to have changed. In this case, he couldn't fall behind. As the saying goes, men and women work together, and work is not tiring. It was afternoon. If anyone entered the shelter of Shrek Academy, they would hear the sound of ping pong coming from inside. Suddenly, a burst of laughter came from the shelter. Ha ha ha. Awesome. Awesome. I'm a genius. Ha ha ha. An old and slightly puzzled voice came. What's going on? Why are you so excited? Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the new reactor excitedly and said, Old Feng, let me tell you, this new reactor can not only produce higher temperatures and stronger energy. Moreover, the energy and temperature produced can be adjusted freely and can even be adjusted to normal temperature. Normal temperature. Do you know what this means? At some point, Jiang Xiaofeng's name for Feng Wuyu changed from Elder Feng to Old Feng. And Feng Wuyu was not dissatisfied with this at all. I don't know. Feng Wuyu said simply. Jiang Xiaofeng patted his head helplessly. Forget it. I'll tell you something that you're interested in. Jiang Xiaofeng pointed to the forging table beside him. This new forging table is made of Pandora alloy. It can be said that nothing in the entire Daolo continent can melt and destroy it. Moreover, this new forging table can limit the temperature to its surface, and the outside of the forging table will not be affected. Jiang Xiaofeng became more and more excited. At this point, Jiang Xiaofeng even shouted directly, Old Feng, do you know what this means? Feng Wuyu said in a daze, this means that I can forge without any restrictions under the ultra high temperature conditions last time. Haha, that's right. Jiang Xiaofeng shouted excitedly to the sky. After getting Jiang Xiaofeng's affirmative answer, Feng Wuyu excitedly hugged Jiang Xiaofeng directly. Good boy, I knew I was right about you. Hahaha. The two hugged each other excitedly and jumped, just like two idiots. Oh, by the way, what time is it now? Jiang Xiaofeng, who finally calmed down, took out his mobile phone and looked at it, only to see that the time was already 8 o'clock in the evening. No, Liu Feng, I have something to do now. I'll come to see you tomorrow. Jiang Xiaofeng hurriedly left the shelter. As soon as he arrived at the dormitory door, Jiang Xiaofeng saw Kadoyoshi standing there, and he didn't know how long he had been waiting here. Sorry, I kept you waiting for a long time. Jiang Xiaofeng said embarrassedly. I don't have much time. Kadoyoshi said lightly, if I don't leave, this world will be severely damaged, just like the previous world. So, you still can't find your own world? Jiang Xiaofeng's mood became a little depressed. He knew the power of Decade. It will continue to destroy the world involuntarily. Therefore, Kadoyoshi can only keep traveling, shuttling between worlds, hoping to find his own world. I don't care anymore. Kazushi smiled softly. Since I don't belong to all the worlds, then, it can be said that all the worlds are my worlds. In this case, I will protect all the worlds. Kazushi paused, looked at Jiang Xiaofeng and said, then prove to me that you have the ability to protect this world. A dimensional wall appeared, covering Jiang Xiaofeng and Kazushi. When Jiang Xiaofeng came to his senses, Jiang Xiaofeng and Kazushi were already in a plane. The magenta driver had been worn on Kamen Ride's waist at some point. Kamen Ride turned around and took out the Decade card from the card box. Henshin Kamen Ride Decade. The magenta armor covered Kamen Ride's body and gently rubbed the driving card box sword in his hand. Come on. I will only use the form of the same level as you. Defeat me and prove to me that you can protect this world. Yes. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded heavily. I will protect this world and let humans and soul beasts truly coexist. No, it's sus. A female voice suddenly sounded behind Jiang Xiaofeng. I said, I will accompany you. No matter what the result is. Jiang Xiaofeng turned around and looked. He couldn't help but widen his eyes and exclaimed at the figure that suddenly appeared beside him. Guyu. Why are you here? Oh. Kamenish's voice seemed a little surprised, but also seemed to have expected it. Well, then let's go together. Guyu looked at Jiang Xiaofeng, who was shocked and couldn't help but chuckled. I'll explain to you later. Let's go first. As he said that, Guyu took out the creation driver and gently placed it on his waist. Yeah. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded and then took out the creation driver. Guyu raised his hand high and the magic dragon chirped happily and flew into Guyu's hand. Poseidon Island. Nana seemed to have sensed something and suddenly looked at her right hand. A small dragon slowly took shape in Nana's hand. The same magic dragon in Guyu's hand. She smiled softly. I knew it. Nana took out a blue energy bottle from the storage ring, the dragon energy bottle. After shaking it a few times, he inserted it into the socket of the magic dragon. The inserted dragon energy bottle disappeared instantly, and Nana also fainted on the ground. The dragon energy bottle appeared at the socket of the magic dragon in Guyu's hand, and Guyu gently pressed the dragon energy bottle completely in. Get the magic dragon inserted into the energy bottle was lifted high by Guyu, and then inserted into the creation rider. Element power. Jiang Xiaofeng gently shook the energy bottle in his hand. Rabbit tank best match. The two began to turn the operating lever on the driver, and the glass frame extended from the driver. Henshin the two shouted in unison. Steel moon face space reverse. Rabbit tank, yeah, wake up. Silver dragon, get the power of the element of heaven and earth. Yeah. After the transformation, Guyu wore a silver armor and held a silver spear in his hand. The whole shape is also somewhat feminine. Suddenly, a female voice completely different from Guyu's came from the mask. Brother, what's going on now? Chapter 67 Rabbit tank bubble form. Ah. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the person in front of him with a confused face. Guyu. Nada? Why are you here with me? Guyu also touched her face in confusion, but she suddenly found that it seemed that only half of her body could move, and the other half was completely out of control. Nada's puzzled voice came from the mask again. I don't know either. Once the energy bottle was inserted, it became like this. As she said that, Nada also tried to move her body. Similarly, only half of her body could move, but it was the opposite of Guyu. Guyu can control the left side of her body, and Nada can control the right side of her body. Wait, how do I know that she can control the left, right, half of her body? Guyu and Nada thought at the same time. I can feel your thoughts. It seems so. Then, try to move together. We must cooperate well. HMM. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the person in front of him who was constantly moving his body with a confused face. Guyu. Or Nada? So, what's going on? This doesn't conform to the laws of physics? Jiang Xiaofeng fell into deep thought. Could it be that, because Guyu and Nada's strange situation is completely inconsistent with the laws of physics, combined with the night system, the two have produced some wonderful changes? Well, it's possible. Kamen Rider looked at the brand new knight in front of him with interest. 2-in-1? Interesting. After a while, Guyu's voice came from under the mask. We are familiar with the current state. We can start. Well, brother, we are ready. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head helplessly. Okay. Then, let's go. Well. Jiang Xiaofeng took out the drill crusher, and Guyu also picked up the silver dragon spear in his hand, and the two rushed towards Kamen Rider together. The sword, drill, and spear kept fighting. Not only that, after Guyu and Nao were completely familiar with the way the two controlled, they took advantage of the double control, and kept driving the element to cooperate with them in the battle. For a time, Guyu and Jiang Xiaofeng even had the upper hand. Ready go vortex break. The drill crusher began to spin at high speed, wrapped in red energy, and slashed at Kadoya. Attack ride slash. The magenta energy gathered on the blade, and Kadoya was just about to meet Jiang Xiaofeng. Suddenly, a wall of earth appeared in front of him. Kadoya frowned slightly and directly split the earth wall with the cardbox sword. However, there was no one behind the earth wall. Suddenly, he felt a space fluctuation behind him. Kadoya turned around quickly and used the cardbox sword to block a spear and a drill that attacked from behind him. Kadoya squatted slightly under the pressure of the powerful force. Jiang Xiaofeng and Guyu looked at each other, and the two increased their strength again. But Kadoya risked the consequences of being hit and slashed the chest of the two with a sword, repelling Jiang Xiaofeng and Guyu. Is this the power of the night system? It feels that the ability to control element has improved a lot. Guyu muttered in his heart. Nada was also muttering silently in her heart. I feel that our current strength can reach the level of Soul Saint under the amplification of the night system. Or the Soul Saint wearing a two-word battle armor. P.S. Kamen Rider Oboro's initial form strength is roughly equivalent to the bubble form, because she also needs to combine the power of soul power, so it is stronger. Kamen Rider took out another card from the card box. For two people, use this one. Kamen Rider X8 double action game array. Game light curtain appeared in front of Kamen Rider. After passing through the game light curtain, Kamen Rider's figure instantly turned into two people, and his armor also changed dramatically. The entire venue changed dramatically, and many objects like game props were produced. Game field. I'm you. You are me. We are mighty. Mighty. Brothers double exit has become two people. Guyu looked at Jiang Xiaofeng in disbelief. Brother, what's his situation now? This time it was Nao's voice. Jiang Xiaofeng explained helplessly, even the two of you who are in one have come out. It's strange that one person becomes two. You deal with the blue one, and I deal with the yellow one. The general information has been transmitted to your panel. Go. One of the twin players waved his hand lightly, and a strange shaped sword fell into his hand out of thin air. Gashokan key slasher, card control keyboard slasher. The other picked up the control card box sword, and the two clapped their hands lightly. Second round, start. Guyu, be careful. His jumping ability is very strong. We are not as strong as him. Don't fight him in close combat. Also, don't let him get those game props. Nao's voice echoed in Guyu's mind. Well, leave it to me. The wind element gathered at Guyu's feet, and the silver dragon spear pointed to the sky, and a small-scale rain of fire and hail fell from the sky. The blue twin player continuously tapped the buttons of the keyboard slasher, and several energy bullets shot into the air, accurately shooting down the attacks around him, and then raised the keyboard slasher, and jumped towards Guyu. Guyu waved her hand gently, and several ice walls and earth walls blocked her. Although they were shattered in the next second, it also bought Guyu time to retreat. Seeing that they could not get close, the blue twin players turned to long-range attacks, and Guyu also used the power of the wind element to dodge in the air. Wait a minute, Guyu. Nao's voice sounded in Guyu's mind. We may not need to dodge. Take a look at this. As soon as the voice fell, the display inside the mask projected detailed information of the hand. Kamen Rider Oboro's hand is equipped with an element affinity glove, which has super elemental and energy affinity. It can cut off all the opponent's energy and elemental attacks. If controlled properly, it can even return all the opponent's attacks. Okay, we will use this. Get ready. Now. Another energy bullet was fired. This time, Guyu did not continue to dodge, but stretched out his hand to gently hold the energy bullet. The body rotated in place, driving the energy bullet in his hand to rotate. Now, let go. Guyu threw the energy bomb in his hand and directly hit the twin players who were unable to react in time. A big hit appeared on the chest of the twin players. Jiang Xiaofeng was not optimistic. After all, the basic form of the creation knight was still far behind the twin players of Exide. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Guyu's dazzling elemental attacks and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The combination of soul power and the knight system is really amazing. Jiang Xiaofeng pulled the energy bottle off the driver and took out a can-like item from behind. In this case, I can't fall behind. What is that? Guyu and Nao also noticed this new prop. Oh, bubble can. It seems to be different. Kadoya frowned and looked at the new prop in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand. The can in his hand shook lightly, and a soda-like sound suddenly came out. Jiang Xiaofeng gently pulled the zipper open, and a group of tiny bubbles suddenly emerged from it, proving that there was plenty of soda inside. Jiang Xiaofeng raised the bubble tank high, and then suddenly inserted it into the creation rider driver. Rabbit tank sparkling. Jiang Xiaofeng began to turn the operating lever, and a completely different glass frame extended from it. Are you ready? Build up. The new armor suddenly closed. Suddenly opened the can. Rabbit tank sparkling. Yeah, it was still the original rabbit and tank, but the whole shape was like fried hair, and there were many white lines on the armor. Even though Guyu did not have a deep understanding of Jiang Xiaofeng's knight system, she could still feel that this new form was more powerful than any previous form. Looking at this new form, Guyu's mouth corners could not help but curl up a beautiful arc. Now joked, why do I remember that someone seemed to have said before that these were just small gadgets that were not presentable? Don't be distracted, concentrate on fighting. Guyu gathered an elemental ball that mixed 4 element and threw it at the blue twin players in front of her. But her current behavior always feels like a change of subject. The yellow twin player jumped up again, jumping to a very high height, and then using gravitational potential energy to attack is the usual way of fighting for Exide. But this time, it was a little different. The spring of Jiang Xiaofeng's left leg began to compress, and a large amount of red foam was generated on his left leg. The spring suddenly bounced up, driving Jiang Xiaofeng to the same height as the twin players. This is not over yet. Jiang Xiaofeng stepped on the foam generated by his left foot and jumped again, jumping to a higher position than the twin players. I don't know when the Eagle Gatling gun and Drill Crusher gun mode appeared in his hands. The two guns fired at the same time, shooting the yellow twin players who were caught off guard from the air. The left foot of the rabbit tank bubble form has super high agility and can use the foam generated around it as a pad to jump freely in the air. In terms of agility, the bubble form is even better than the twin player. The biggest feature of the twin player is not his various values, but that he has two people to fight together. And now, this feature has been weakened because of facing two opponents at the same time. Jiang Xiaofeng landed gently on the ground, and his shoulders began to continuously generate red and blue bubbles until they covered his entire body. The next second, Jiang Xiaofeng came to the twin players as if teleporting. The drill crusher and the 4-grid ninja sword kept slashing at Kadoyoshi, and the blue bubbles on his body kept bursting. Every burst of bubbles was accompanied by a tiny shockwave, which made Kadoyoshi inside the armor extremely uncomfortable. After the red bubbles generated on the right shoulder of the bubble form burst, the power generated can greatly increase the movement speed of the creation rider. After covering the whole body, it can move at high speed. The bubbles generated on the left shoulder will generate a small shock wave after bursting, which can destroy the internal functions of the enemy. After covering the whole body, you can use fighting skills accompanied by shockwaves. For a while, the yellow and blue twin players were suppressed. PS. Starting tomorrow, I will officially start practicing driving. But I will try my best to update, but the number of words may be less. Chapter 68 Phoenix Robot Bubble Form. Not bad. You're quite capable. Kamen Ride once again unfastened the buckle on the driver and took out a new card. Kamen Ride Kuoga Rising Mighty Kamen Ride's armor changed again, with golden stripes on his red body. A golden leggings also appeared on his right calf. Seeing this form, Jiang Xiaofeng immediately felt as if he was facing a formidable enemy. Kuoga's Rising Mighty form, a famous form. The famous nuclear explosion kick was kicked out from this form. Although the so-called nuclear explosion is actually formed by the reaction between the sealed energy and the Gurangi. But this form of night kick should never be underestimated. If it were just this, Jiang Xiaofeng would not be so nervous. What really shocked Jiang Xiaofeng was that another Kamen Ride, the blue twin player, did not disappear after the yellow twin player switched forms and still maintained the form of the twin player. Don't be surprised. Kamen Ride noticed Jiang Xiaofeng's thoughts. This is my ability. On the other side, the blue twin players also took out a card again. Kamen Ride, Masked Ride, Oz, Tarjadol combo, Eagle and Sparrow combo. Several coins circled around Kamen Ride, and finally, 3 red coins hovered in front of him. The 3 coins suddenly merged into a phoenix pattern, which was printed on Kamen Ride's chest. Tarjadol, Eagle and Sparrow combo. Kamen Ride's body suddenly erupted with a strong flame, and the terrifying temperature even made Guyu and Naya a little frightened. They asked themselves, even if they had transformed into Kamen Rider Oboro, they could not release such a fierce flame. But it was normal. Guyu and Nana were the control of 7 element, and the bird combination was specialized in fire element. Finally, the flames dissipated. Kamen Ride's body appeared a brand new set of armor. Pure red armor, with a phoenix emblem on the chest. The whole set of armor looked extremely handsome, but in Guyu's heart, it was still not as handsome as Kamen Rider Oboro. PS. This is a normal bird type combination, not the wife combination of the finale version. Oz, who became a bird type combination, instantly spread a pair of red wings and chased after him at a faster flying speed than Guyu. Guyu's face changed slightly, and he quickly released different elemental attacks behind him. However, they were all blocked by the coin-shaped shield in Oz's hand, and the flames emitted from Oz's shield, even if they had transformed into Kamen Rider Oboro, did not dare to take it head on. Sliding away elemental attacks does not mean immunity. If the strength of the element is too high, they cannot slide away. The defense of the diamond energy bottle failed to block the energy attack of the double tank form, which is an example. Now we can only fight close to each other. Guyu, my gun skills are better than yours, let me take control. Nao's voice sounded in Guyu's mind. Well, Kamen Rider Oboro's eyes instantly changed from the original purple to silver, and the silver dragon spear in his hand shook lightly, and the entire silver dragon spear seemed to come alive, bursting with brilliant light. The two of them started fighting in the air, and the silver dragon spears with a little cold light kept stabbing out. Oz's hawk sparrow disc was at a disadvantage in close combat, so he chose to use the right cardbox sword as his main weapon. For a while, the two fought evenly. Form right Kuoga rising titan. Kuoga's armor instantly turned purple. Jiang Xiaofeng punched his chest armor, and blue bubbles began to burst continuously. However, Kuoga in the rising titan state completely took the blow without moving. Jiang Xiaofeng didn't believe it, and took out the drill crusher to chop it again, but it still had no effect. Kuoga grabbed the drill crusher, and took it directly from Jiang Xiaofeng's hand. The drill crusher instantly changed into a sword that intersected purple and gold, the rising titan sword. Before Jiang Xiaofeng could react, Kuoga had already slashed Jiang Xiaofeng's armor with several swords in a row. Each sword made Jiang Xiaofeng feel a burning pain in his chest, and the night system began to alarm frantically. Obviously, if this continues, the night system will take compulsory protection measures. That is, it will disintegrate on its own. Should we say it is worthy of being a sublimated titan? It has super strong defense and strength. In the hands of Kazushi Kadoya, the titan form has become a running titan, and the original slow movement has been completely compensated. It seems that it is time to use a hidden big move. Jiang Xiaofeng gently took off the rabbit tank bubble can on the driver. Oh. Kazushi Kadoya looked at Jiang Xiaofeng in surprise. Are you giving up? As far as he knows, this should be Jiang Xiaofeng's strongest form at this stage. Jiang Xiaofeng took off the bubble can now. In addition to giving up, Kazushi Kadoya could not think of any other reason for the time being. Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly said with a little confidence, "Then, let's start the experiment." He began to shake the bubble can again, and then gently turned a buckle on the bubble can, and the pattern on the bubble can changed accordingly. HMM. Phoenix Robot Sparkling. Phoenix Robot Sparkling. Among the 60 energy bottles, some energy bottles are extremely powerful. So powerful that the best match cannot keep balance with it. The Dragon Energy Bottle is an example. And only such energy bottles can be made into gel, that is, used by squeezing the drive. The Phoenix and the robot are the most special one among the 30 best matches. The robot energy bottle perfectly meets the conditions for making gel, and its power is even slightly stronger than the Dragon Gel. When the Phoenix energy bottle forms the best match with it, there is no imbalance. And this also aroused Jiang Xiaofeng's interest in studying it. Sure enough, the Phoenix energy bottle can also be made into gel, but the world of the War Rabbit has not found a person with a high degree of fit with it, so the Phoenix gel has not been born. And now, under Jiang Xiaofeng's continuous experiments, the Phoenix robot bubble tank was born. A new form? Interesting. At this moment, if someone could see through Kadoya's mask, they would find that Kadoya actually showed a relieved smile. Are you ready? Build up. The frame suddenly closed, and fierce flames erupted with red and grey bubbles. Fiery can opening. Phoenix robot sparkling. Phoenix robot bubble form. Yeah, the red and grey body, the shape of the hair, and the skirt like the tail feathers of a phoenix. There is no mechanical arm on the left arm, which looks more coordinated. The law of victory has been decided. Jiang Xiaofeng raised his hand and gently wiped the robot headdress. The sublimation titan sword chopped again, and Jiang Xiaofeng raised his left hand. A huge mechanical arm phantom appeared, and firmly clamped the sublimation titan sword. Robot energy bottle, mechanical arm, superpower. Bubbles continued to rise from the mechanical arm phantom, and then, like a robot, they covered Kuoga's whole body along the sublimation titan sword. The bubbles burst, and each blow hit Kuoga like a heavy hammer. Then, the bubbles moved again, concentrated on Kuoga's most vulnerable part, and began to explode. Kuoga was forced to let go of the titan sword and hurriedly retreated. Without the blessing of Kuoga's power, the titan sword turned into a drill crusher again, and fell to the ground. The bubbles generated on the robot's left shoulder have the ability to automatically lock the enemy. Every burst of a bubble will cause huge damage. Moreover, they will test the opponent's weaknesses, and conduct concentrated attacks. Jiang Xiaofeng jumped up and instantly turned into a burning phoenix. Red bubbles gushed out, and the flames became hotter and more explosive. The blazing phoenix kept hitting Kuoga standing on the ground, and the fierce temperature even caused Kuoga's armor to show signs of melting. Jiang Xiaofeng, flying in the air, began to turn the joystick again. Ready go sparkling finish. Jiang Xiaofeng turned into a flaming phoenix again, but this time, his temperature was more intense than before. Then, Jiang Xiaofeng swooped down from the air. Finally attack right KKK Kuuga. Kuuga Kuuga Kuuga. Golden electric currents wrapped around Kuuga's right fist, and he swung his right fist towards Jiang Xiaofeng who was swooping down, and the two of them collided violently. Guyu glanced in Jiang Xiaofeng's direction. From her perspective, Jiang Xiaofeng was on the right. Finally, Jiang Xiaofeng's flames covered Kuuga. A huge explosion occurred at the place where they clashed, and the ground was even melted to a depth of 10 meters. The flames dissipated, and Jiang Xiaofeng landed gently on the ground. Kuuga flashed a few electric lights, and cancelled his transformation. Not only that, Oz in front of Guyu also disappeared without a trace. Phoenix energy bottle, flame, high heat dissolves the enemy, and the ultimate move activates invincibility. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69 Departure. Not bad. Kamen Rider patted the dust off his body and said, you can develop your own form, instead of simply following the old path of others. Guyu gently flew to Jiang Xiaofeng, and lifted the transformation. Another dimensional wall appeared, and Jiang Xiaofeng and others appeared on the Sea God Island. Nada ran over from nowhere. She looked at Kamen Rider and suddenly exclaimed, you are, that chef. Kamen Rider did not answer, but gently put his hand in his pocket and said, I will leave this world. More than 3 years is the limit of my stay in this world. Then, where will you go to in the next world? Jiang Xiaofeng asked softly. Who knows? Kamen Rider shrugged. The unknown journey is the most interesting, isn't it? Jiang Xiaofeng chuckled. That's right. Knowing everything is boring. The reason why the future is fascinating is that it is full of unknowns. Even though Jiang Xiaofeng had read most of the scripts in advance, the world became full of unknowns again because of his arrival. No one knows whether their wishes can be realized. Hearing this, Guyu couldn't help but complain. You know a lot, don't you? You even know that I'm the Silver Dragon King. If Kazushi hadn't told me, I wouldn't know anything. Naga nodded in agreement. Jiang Xiaofeng touched his head awkwardly and smiled. Don't mind. Suddenly, Kazushi threw a card over. This is for you. Jiang Xiaofeng quickly caught the card thrown by Kazushi, and he looked at the card in confusion. What is this? This is a night driving card of Emperor Night, and the next moment, this card turned into 2 energy bottles. Card and camera. This is one of my extra ones. I didn't use it, so I gave it to you. Kazushi said with a smile. It should be of great help to you. Yeah, it's a great help. Jiang Xiaofeng put away the 2 energy bottles with some joy. Although this energy bottle could not allow him to use the power of other knights, nor could it use other forms of Emperor Knight. What passion state, Godlord form, can't be used, but the special nature of Emperor Knight's power will definitely bring great help. The power of Emperor Knight is the power of the destroyer of the world, which can destroy everything. There are some things in this world that are difficult to kill with the power of Creation Knight alone. For example, the creatures of the abyss. Before he had the genius form, Jiang Xiaofeng really had no way to deal with the energy of the abyss. But if he had the power of Emperor Knight, everything would be different. I have the same idea as you. If you want to achieve your goal, the fundamental contradiction between humans and soul beasts must be resolved. That is, the soul ring system. The power of soul beasts also needs to be strengthened, at least on par with humans. Only in this way can we consider the issue of coexistence. Hearing this, Jiang Xiaofeng nodded seriously. Yes, but I need to have a deeper study of the law. But until now, there has been no progress in the study of the law. Is that so? Kazushi also fell into deep thought. Suddenly, Kazushi raised his head and said, oh, by the way, this one is also for you. It should be helpful to you. Another card was thrown over, and Jiang Xiaofeng caught the card and looked at it carefully. This is a card of the Double Rider. Suddenly, this card turned into a green data stream and flew into Jiang Xiaofeng's body, and Jiang Xiaofeng immediately lost consciousness. Where is this? Jiang Xiaofeng slowly opened his eyes and looked around. This was an endless light blue space, and this vast space was filled with countless bookshelves. On each bookshelf, there were countless books. Jiang Xiaofeng picked up a book casually, but found that there was a layer of light blue lock on it, which locked the whole book tightly, and could not be read at all. In desperation, Jiang Xiaofeng had to change a book to have a look. However, the book was still locked tightly. Jiang Xiaofeng kept walking forward, and kept trying to flip through the books on the bookshelf. It didn't work. All the books were locked, and could not be read at all. Hey, what is that? Jiang Xiaofeng walked, and suddenly he vaguely saw that there seemed to be a figure in the distance. Jiang Xiaofeng ran away quickly. Sure enough, at the end of the bookshelf, there was an illusory figure. However, there were countless chains wrapped around his body. There were light blue, blood red, and golden chains, which tightly wrapped him. Who are you? Jiang Xiaofeng walked over slowly and asked softly. The illusory figure seemed to have noticed Jiang Xiaofeng's arrival. He slowly raised his head and looked at Jiang Xiaofeng in confusion. Suddenly, the entire space shattered. A roar that shook the world rang out. Who is it? A golden giant hammer fell from the sky. Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly opened his eyes. He was breathing heavily, and cold sweat broke out all over his body. Brother, what happened to you just now? Nada looked at Jiang Xiaofeng with a worried look. Guyu also looked at Menchi with hostility at this time. She asked coldly, what did you do to him? Huh? Jiang Xiaofeng took a breath, grabbed Guyu, and waved his hand and said, it's okay, I think I know what's going on. It seems that my guess is right. Menchi looked at Jiang Xiaofeng thoughtfully and said, the master of the plane in this world has really changed. Thank you, it's a great help. Jiang Xiaofeng said weakly. At this moment, as long as he closed his eyes slightly, he could feel some unusual fluctuations around him. Jiang Xiaofeng could feel that his physique seemed to have become similar to Philip Feng's physique. Although he could not use Philip's Earth library, it would definitely be of great help to the study of laws. It's okay, as long as it's useful. Kamen Rider waved his hand and said, then, we'll meet again, if we are destined to. Well, goodbye. Jiang Xiaofeng also waved his hand, and Kamen Rider stepped into the dimensional wall. Daoluo God Realm. Tang San was discussing with the gods how to contact the other 6 god realms. Suddenly, a blurry wall appeared, and a figure in a suit walked out of it. You are Tang San, right? Kamen Rider said leisurely, you are lucky. There are too many marks of you in the Daoluo world. Killing you rashly may have bad consequences. It can be said that even the Lord of the Plane is not as important as you. As he said that, Kamen Rider took out the magenta driver, but it's okay to teach him a lesson. The gods took out their weapons one after another. He could come to the god realm silently, and was not affected by the black hole. This person should not be underestimated. Who are you? Tang San asked coldly. I'm just a Kamen Rider passing by. Remember this. K-Touch 21. K-Touch Screen 21. The card was inserted, and the fingers kept tapping. W. Double Knight. 000. Oz. Force. Wizard. Witch Knight. Game. Deer Knight. Drive. Ghost. Spirit Knight. Xaid. Build Knight. Zeo. Zerun. 01. Finally Kamen Ride. Henshin in the void. It was as if a piece of music sounded out of thin air. Decade complete 21. Countless cards flew out of the drive, and they gathered on Kamen, forming a new set of armor. With Kamen as the center, 20 huge cards appeared around him. The cards disappeared, and in their place, there were 20 big men. Ultimate Kuuga, Shining Agito, Survival Dragon Knight, Explosion 555, Emperor Sword, Armored Hibiki, Beyond Kabuto, Deno Train, Demon King Moon Knight, Gale Assault Timid Double Knight, Oz Dinosaur Alliance, Space 40 Knights, Infinite Wizard Knight, Armored General, Galloping Tridoran, Infinite Spirit Knight, Exide Invincible Player, Creative Knight Genius, Supreme Emperor Zeo. 02. The 21 ultimate knights lined up and stood in front of the gods. Chapter 70. The Shattered God Realm. Tangsen and other gods had never faced such desperate opponents. There were 20 people, each of whom had at least the strength of a first level god. Some were so powerful that even the gods could not defeat them. The red armored man, who looked like a rhinoceros beetle, was so fast that it made people despair. There was also a man in golden armor, and even if the 3 gods used the 3 realms judgment sword together, they could not hurt him at all. The one in black armor was also extremely terrifying. He simply looked at them, and the murderous aura that was as real as substance reduced their combat effectiveness by a large margin. What shocked Tangsen the most was the man in purple armor. He held a small axe and chopped off Tangsen's sure sword. The people who summoned them were watching the show quietly from beginning to end, without any intention of taking action. Finally, the 20 figures turned into magenta garbled code and disappeared, leaving behind a nearly fragmented god realm, and the gods were unknown, whether they were alive or dead. Tangsen supported himself with the broken Shura sword, and looked at Cador with a face full of resentment. We have no grudges, why do you want to destroy our god realm? However, from the mask, Tangsen only heard a lazy voice. Yes, why? I'm also looking for the reason. Whether it was such a tone or his answer, it made Tangsen extremely angry and aggrieved, as if destroying his god realm was just a casual act of the other party. But in this way, you can't get out of the black hole. As he said, Cador calculated slightly in his mind. The time in the black hole is distorted. When you are completely destroyed by the black hole, thousands of years should have passed there. This is also the last thing I can do for you. The rest depends on you, Jiang Xiaofeng. Suddenly, 2 cards flew out of the card box. Cador caught the 2 cards. One was a form control card, Phoenix Robot Bubble Form. There was also a mass control card, Kamen Rider Aboro. The dimensional wall reappeared, and Kadoyashi also disappeared without a trace, as if he had never existed in this world. The disappearance of the chef did not cause any waves in Shrek Academy, as if such a person had never appeared. And Tang Wulin was also gloriously disqualified from free meals, and began to live a miserable life of forging to exchange for food money. Although Jiang Xiaofeng was rich, Tang Wulin also knew that even friends were not obliged to always provide him with meals, and he had to rely on himself for such things. This semester, each of you will build a mecha of your own. The list of practice groups will be announced below. The first group, Jiang Xiaofeng, Guyu, Tang Wulin, Wu Sidwo. The first group is a few class committee members, a normal arrangement. But the moment Wu Changkang announced the first group list, the whole class cast envious eyes on Guyu and the other 2. With the help of a fierce man who made a one-word battle armor, these people don't need to worry about building mechas at all. Wu Changkang continued to read out the names of the groups, and also announced his requirements. Everyone in the group must have a mecha, and if there is one person without a mecha, the whole group will be eliminated. After reading it out, Wu Changkang gave them half an hour to discuss the details. Jiang Xiaofeng called the other 3 together. Next, we have 2 options. One is to build a mecha, the other is to build a battle armor. As long as Tang Wulin's forging can be supplied, I can make 1 set for each person within 1 semester. When they heard about the battle armor, Wu Sido and Tang Wulin's eyes lit up. In this world, battle armor is the ultimate goal of every soul master. It can be said that as long as there is a student who comes to Shrek Academy, there is no one who does not yearn for battle armor. As for Jiang Xiaofeng's ability, even Wu Sido could not question it. In fact, because she did not understand the characteristics of the knight system, Wu Sido thought that Jiang Xiaofeng had built more than 500 sets of battle armor for himself alone. In this way, even if Jiang Xiaofeng started making battle armor as soon as he was born, his output would be more than 50 sets a year. Building 4 sets of battle armor in 1 semester is not a problem at all. It's just, but even if you make all the battle armors, we can't use them, right? The minimum standard for using a one-word battle armor is 5 rings or above, Wu Sido asked with some concern. It's okay, I can use it for any soul master, let alone a 4-ring soul master like you. Jiang Xiaofeng waved his hand confidently and said, you are not a soul master. Wu Sido's voice couldn't help but rise 8 degrees, and even attracted the attention of many students sitting next to him. Jiang Xiaofeng said as a matter of course. Yes, when did I say I was a soul master? It's okay, it's okay. Wu Sido waved her hand quickly, but she began to feel a little proud in her heart. In the eyes of most people, soul power is the root of everything. Without soul power, the future is ultimately limited. Jiang Xiaofeng ignored Wu Sido and turned to look at Tang Wulin and said, then, Wulin, the forging is left to you. Tang Wulin said confidently, don't worry, you know my forging level. Yeah. By the way, Guyu. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Guyu who was sitting silently beside him, while I'm designing. Do you want to watch from the side? It should be very helpful to you. Huh. Guyu was slightly stunned. Is it okay? No problem. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. What's more, it's better to be prepared for some things. Wu Sido was still a little worried. No matter how much she was dissatisfied with Jiang Xiaofeng's skills, she had to admit that Jiang Xiaofeng was unmatched in this regard, but she still didn't know much about Tang Wulin's forging skills. Wu Sido was not used to keeping a question to herself. She asked directly, Tang Wulin, how is your forging level? When it came to forging, Tang Wulin smiled confidently. Hearing is false, seeing is believing. You will know after class. Jiang Xiaofeng thought for a while. Okay, it's a good opportunity for everyone to get to know each other. Wulin, I'll go and see later. Since last night, the power of the two riders has been integrated into Jiang Xiaofeng. He felt that his body seemed to have become a semi-data physique. In this state, as long as Jiang Xiaofeng calmed down, he could feel many things that he could not feel at other times. In fact, Jiang Xiaofeng didn't know what he felt. However, Jiang Xiaofeng had some guesses about this. These might be the laws of this planet, or they might be the element of this planet. But it's hard to say. Everything needs to be studied. Time soon came to the afternoon. Jiang Xiaofeng and others followed Tang Wulin to his forging room. Tang Wulin's forging room is quite advanced. It is equipped with a new forging table designed by Jiang Xiaofeng. This forging table has been promoted on a small scale in Shrek Academy. I'm best at forging Shenayan. As he said, Tang Wulin took a piece of metal from the shelf beside him and placed it steadily on the forging table. While opening the forging table, Tang Wulin introduced it like a treasure. It has extremely high hardness and ductility, which is more suitable for the manufacture of mechas. With my current level, I'm 100% sure that I can forge 1,000 forged first grade metal. Hearing this, Wu Sido's eyes lit up immediately. 1,000 forged first grade, as a one-word battle armor at this stage. It is really the best. But we still have to see the actual situation. Soon, the Shenayan on the forging table has turned red. Obviously, it has reached the most suitable temperature for forging. Tang Wulin did not hesitate, picked up the 1,000 forged Shenayan hammer, and began to hit it continuously. PS. Due to the butterfly effect, Tang Wulin did not skip the level to perform spirit forging, so the forging hammer was still 1,000 forgings. Soon, the 100 forgings were completed. The heavy silver on the forging table also shrank a circle, and Tang Wulin also started the 1,000 forgings. Wait. Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly shouted. Tang Wulin subconsciously stopped hammering, and looked at Jiang Xiaofeng with a puzzled look. Jiang Xiaofeng did not answer, but looked at Guyu and asked, Guyu, you know the element best. Did you just see, or feel what element are merging into this metal? No? Guyu shook her head blankly. She did not feel any element fluctuations. If you have to say, there are a lot of fire element in the forging furnace. PS. I'm wondering if the protagonist should make a two-dimensional foil. Chapter 71 New Discovery. Can't you feel it? Jiang Xiaofeng muttered to himself. Seeing this, Guyu asked in confusion, did you feel anything? It's okay. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head. Wulin, go on, let her see your strength. Tang Wulin nodded confidently and began to devote himself to forging. The forging hammer kept hitting the red-hot metal, and each hit was accompanied by 3 crisp sounds. The silver on the forging table was also shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. Of course, this was only a change from the perspective of ordinary people. But Jiang Xiaofeng saw a completely different scene, as Tang Wulin kept hitting. Some golden light spots floating in the air, as if being pulled by something, began to merge into the metal little by little. What are these golden light spots? Moreover, these golden light spots seem to cover the entire campus. No, there should be more than that. Jiang Xiaofeng has not yet conducted in-depth research on these light spots. Looking at this posture, it is very likely that the entire Daolo star is full of these golden light particles. No, the inner desire for research is completely uncontrollable. For ordinary people, this sudden appearance of unknown things may have nothing to do with him. But Jiang Xiaofeng is different. For a scientist, it is the greatest torture to have an unknown thing dangling in front of his eyes. Finally, a golden light rose from the sunken silver. Tang Wulin exhaled, looked at Wu Sido and said, I have fulfilled my mission to make 1,000 forged first-class product. From Jiang Xiaofeng's perspective, this piece of sunken silver seemed to have absorbed enough golden light spots. And inside the sunken silver, something seemed to be gestating. Is it life? Or something else? Jiang Xiaofeng knew nothing about this, and he could only speculate, based on the existing knowledge. As far as Jiang Xiaofeng knew, spiritual forging creation. In addition to forging, spiritual forging is to guide the life inside the metal little by little. This shows that before spiritual forging, the metal has life inside, but it is in a dormant state. However, it is a recognized fact that unforged metal is lifeless. If this statement is accurate, then the life inside the metal can only be generated during the process of 100 or 1,000 forgings. If what Jiang Xiaofeng feels now, what is being nurtured inside the metal is life, the life of the metal, then it can be explained. During the 1,000 forging process, the rare metal began to absorb this unknown golden light particle. Under the action of this light particle, the metal has the possibility of giving birth to life. And the subsequent spiritual forging is to use soul power as a bridge, through the guidance of external force, to completely give birth to the life inside the metal. And the subsequent forging is to continuously cultivate the life in the metal, and the final heavenly forging is to completely transform the metal into a complete life. In the future, Tang Wulin seems to have forged such a metal, with his own independent thoughts and behaviors. It can be said that this is a new intelligent life. However, the question is, what exactly is this golden light particle? Why can it give life to a lifeless piece of metal? Why was there no such forging method on the Daolo continent tens of thousands of years ago? This new forging method was born about 2,000 years ago, and the human civilization on this planet has been born for at least 20,000 years. According to records, the origin of this forging method is that a forger accidentally forged a piece of metal containing life energy. The quality is probably above 1,000 forging and below spirit forging. After that, humans continued to study and eventually formed this forging system. In tens of thousands of years, it is impossible for humans not to discover this forging method. Life energy is so precious that a piece of metal that accidentally gave birth to life cannot fail to attract the attention of humans. Unless, in the tens of thousands of years before, metal could not give birth to life at all. Wulin. Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly called Tang Wulin, who was sharing his forging experience with Wu Siduo. Tang Wulin looked at Jiang Xiaofeng with a puzzled look, obviously not knowing what Jiang Xiaofeng meant. Jiang Xiaofeng said solemnly, under the condition of not affecting the foundation, break through the third ring as soon as possible. Then master the spirit forging as soon as possible. I have a lot of things to study. Seeing Jiang Xiaofeng's serious look, Tang Wulin also nodded seriously. Well, I will. Although he didn't know what Jiang Xiaofeng was going to do, Tang Wulin believed that what Jiang Xiaofeng did must be reasonable. Also, Wulin. Jiang Xiaofeng hesitated for a moment and finally said what he wanted to say. Be prepared for the collapse of faith. Xiaofeng, did you see anything? From the moment that card entered your body, you started to feel a little strange? Gu Yu asked with some concern. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head. It's okay, that card turned my body into a semi-data form. In this state, I saw and felt a lot of things that I couldn't usually perceive. Semi-data form? Gu Yu was still a little worried. Will that have any effect on you? Jiang Xiaofeng smiled and said, don't worry. There is no bad impact, but the things I saw recently caused a big shock. Gu Yu was relieved and asked, what did you see at that time? Is it convenient to tell me? What's inconvenient? Jiang Xiaofeng smiled and then said solemnly, "First of all, do you know the concept of the Lord of the Plane? That is, the consciousness of this planet." Yeah. As the Silver Dragon King, Yu still knew about the Lord of the Plane, even if she had slept for millions of years. Jiang Xiaofeng continued, "The current Lord of the Plains is no longer the original Lord of the Plains. It is Tang Heo, Tang San's father. Tang Heo." Instantly, Yu recalled the future he had seen, the middle-aged man holding a golden hammer, the woman with long blue hair, and the one holding a golden trident, Tang San. Now I can check the memory of this planet. Everything that has happened since the birth of this planet until now. These memories are presented in front of me in the form of books. I call it the Daoluo Library. Just as Yu was still amazed, Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly emphasized, "But these books, or memories, are all blocked by a blue power." Blue power. Yu fell into deep thought. Could it be Tang San? That's right. Jiang Xiaofeng snapped his fingers. Tang San's godhood is Sea God, and the power of Sea God is blue. Although Daoluo continent is a subsidiary plane of the God realm, only the God King has this authority. There are 5 great God Kings in the God realm, but evil, life, destruction, and Shura. And among these God Kings, only Shura God Tang San possesses 2 major godhoods at the same time, Sea God and Shura. Well, blue power, only Tang San can do this kind of thing. As he said this, Yu thought of what Tang San did in that future fragment, and then added, "It also seems like his style of doing things." Jiang Xiaofeng continued, "At the end of the book, I saw a person who was locked tightly by chains woven by the law. If I guess correctly, he should be the original Lord of the Plains of Daoluo continent." Yu thought for a while and nodded. Well, the plane is immortal, and the Lord of the Plains is immortal. Unless there are special circumstances, even the God King cannot kill the Lord of the Plains without destroying the plane. Sealing it is indeed the best choice. I see. Jiang Xiaofeng said thoughtfully, but in this case, Tang Heo should not be able to view the books in the Daoluo library, or the memory of this planet. The original Lord of the Plains is still alive, and Tang Heo should not have obtained all the permissions of the Lord of the Plains. Indeed, with the original Lord of the Plains still alive, Tang Heo would not have the ability to view the memory of this planet. Therefore, Tang San chose to seal it. In this way, the original Lord of the Plains will also be enabled to view the memories inside. Yu added. Then, the original Lord of the Plains may be a breakthrough. Jiang Xiaofeng murmured to himself. Chapter 72 Other Element. Jiang Xiaofeng once again set foot on the Sea God Island. Although Jiang Xiaofeng was disqualified from the inner courtyard and demoted to an outer courtyard student, the pass in his hand was not taken back and could still be used normally. Jiang Xiaofeng didn't know how many times he had come to the golden ancient tree, but this time, he didn't place any instruments. Instead, he gently placed his palm on the trunk of the golden ancient tree and then closed his eyes. A red glow began to emanate from Jiang Xiaofeng's body. His consciousness turned into a piece of data and began to try to enter the golden ancient tree. What is this? Jiang Xiaofeng slowly opened his eyes, and a wall of blue and green light blocked him. Is it a wall made of laws? Or what? He curiously touched the light wall with his hand. Suddenly, a piercing pain came from Jiang Xiaofeng's fingertips. He subconsciously wanted to take his hand away from the light wall, but a strong suction came from the light wall, making it impossible for Jiang Xiaofeng to take his hand away. Jiang Xiaofeng covered his head in pain. He felt as if something was constantly entering his brain. This feeling gave him a splitting headache. But now he had no way to check what these things were. Finally, the suction on the light wall disappeared, and Jiang Xiaofeng fell into a coma. A blue-haired man holding a golden trident was suspended in the air, and the trident in his hand gently moved in the air. It seemed that there was something invisible, and it was constantly gathering with the movement of the trident. But looking closely, there was nothing. Suddenly, the man frowned slightly. Let go. This is a joint decision of the God Realm Committee. Do you want to disobey the order of the God Realm? There seemed to be a sigh in the void, and obviously, he chose to compromise. The golden trident continued to wave, and a blue light wrapped up a group of invisible things. The blue-haired man stretched out his right hand, and a blue grass spread out from his hand. Another blue light gently wrapped up the grass in his hand, and the grass gradually separated from the man's hand. Under the guidance of the blue-haired man, the blue grass and the invisible object slowly merged. Finally, a small sapling was born. The blue-haired man waved his hand gently, and the small sapling flew to an academy. In the future, it will represent our God Realm committee and manage the Daoluo plane with you. Do you understand? It was still a voice without any emotion. A beam of light shone down from the sky, and the figure of the blue-haired man disappeared. Jiang Xiaofeng sat up from the ground suddenly, and he touched his head, which was still a little painful. Are these just now the scenes of the birth of the golden ancient tree? It sounds like this golden ancient tree seems to have taken something from the Lord of the Plane. Is it some kind of authority? But what is this place? Daoluo Library? Jiang Xiaofeng stood up, and kept looking around. Yes, this is a Daoluo library, endless books, blue locks. But, I didn't mean to come to this place, why am I here? Suddenly, all the bookshelves moved spontaneously. Countless bookshelves flashed by quickly, and every time a bookshelf flew by, a book would fall on the empty bookshelf in front of Jiang Xiaofeng. It must be said that, even if Daoluo continent is called a fantasy sewer, it has existed for billions of years. In billions of years, the things it has recorded are more than Jiang Xiaofeng can finish reading in his lifetime. Soon, in front of Jiang Xiaofeng, there were hundreds of times more books than the library of Shrek Academy, and these only accounted for a few billionths of the Daoluo library. Just when Jiang Xiaofeng was still confused, the blue shackles on the books broke. No, the blue shackles on all the books in front of Jiang Xiaofeng broke. A layer of colorful shield appeared, covering Jiang Xiaofeng and the books in front of him. Jiang Xiaofeng picked up a book casually, and saw that the cover of the book read, Ether Element Ether Element? What is that? But now is not the time to read books, we must first figure out what is going on now. With this idea in mind, Jiang Xiaofeng walked to the edge of the shield. Outside the shield was still an endless bookshelf, and every book on the bookshelf was hung with shackles that Jiang Xiaofeng was familiar with. He subconsciously wanted to walk out of the shield. When you come to this place, don't leave this shield. Otherwise, they will find you. Who? Jiang Xiaofeng shouted subconsciously. However, he looked around, and didn't find anyone. Moreover, the voice just now seemed to sound directly in his brain. From the meaning of this voice, this shield was built by him? Please. Another voice sounded. The voice was slightly weak, like the voice of a dying person. The only people who can unlock the seal here are Tang-san, Tang Heo, and Yin. No, maybe the imprisoned original plane master has some special means. He can only unlock the seals of some books. His voice is weak, like a dying person. He is cautious everywhere, as if he is avoiding something terrible. After comprehensive investigation, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't think of any other possibilities, except the original plane master. Are you the original lord of the plains of Daoluo continent? There was no answer, as if the voice in his mind had never existed. Jiang Xiaofeng thought about it for a while and roughly guessed what happened. First of all, the lord of the plains was imprisoned. Although Tang-san could not kill him directly, there should be some way to make him weaker and weaker, or even die completely. Then, this variable appeared. As a veteran lord of the plains, even if he has been sealed, he may have some special way to feel the fate of Daoluo continent, similar to the backdoor of a computer firewall. Perhaps, Tang-san's crossing was the work of this lord of the plains. Although, what Tang-san did in the end was a bit, well, in short, with such a strange situation, especially being able to enter the Daoluo library, the original Lord of the Plains could not have failed to notice it. So, the Lord of the Plains placed his last hope on himself, hoping that he could save him from it. And similarly, since he hoped that he could save him, the original Lord of the Plains would naturally find a way to cooperate with him. The unsealing of these books should be his way of expressing his sincerity. But it's good. With the memories of these planets, Jiang Xiaofeng can save a lot of research time. Moreover, if humans can really live in peace with soul beasts, it will be extremely beneficial to the development of the Daoluo plane. From this perspective, Jiang Xiaofeng and the Lord of the Plane should have the same goal. Thinking of this, Jiang Xiaofeng smiled softly, then, happy cooperation. Xiaofeng, I broke through the third ring. Tang Wulin ran into Jiang Xiaofeng's dormitory excitedly, only to see Jiang Xiaofeng walking back and forth with a book in his hand. This made Tang Wulin a little curious. After all, in his impression, Jiang Xiaofeng had never looked at a book so seriously. Tang Wulin took a look with some curiosity and saw that Jiang Xiaofeng was holding a completely blank book in his hand, without a single word on it. Seeing this, Tang Wulin couldn't help but laugh and said, "Xiaofeng, what are you doing? I have something serious to tell you now." Jiang Xiaofeng stretched out his hand to stop Tang Wulin's words. "Wait a moment, I'll finish reading this book." Jiang Xiaofeng continued to look at the wordless book in his hand. The other element is the most important element of a planet, and it can even be said to be the soul of the planet. Without the other element, the planet is just an ordinary planet, and no life will be born. Only with the other element, the planet can breed life. Jiang Xiaofeng seemed to be talking to himself, and seemed to be reading what he saw to Tang Wulin. And the reason why life can be born in metal is because it absorbs enough other element, which makes the breeding of life possible. Then, will we use up the other element you mentioned? Tang Wulin was still very convinced by Jiang Xiaofeng's words, and he also raised his own questions at the first time. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Tang Wulin meaningfully and said, "Yes. Moreover, at the current rate, in 3000 years at most, the other element on Daluo continent will be consumed, and it will become a dead star. P.S. Please give monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. Please give rewards according to your ability." Chapter 73. The title is gone. Tang Wulin was so frightened that his face turned pale. How could this happen? You know, Tang Wulin's favorite profession is forging. If someone suddenly told him that the forging he loved would slowly destroy the world, how could Tang Wulin, who was full of justice, accept it? Seeing this, Jiang Xiaofeng hurriedly comforted him. In fact, if the Daluo plane is stronger, it can still bear this kind of consumption. Because the stronger the plane, the stronger the recovery ability. Moreover, at that time, forging will be beneficial to the development of the plane. Now, Tang Wulin was a little confused. How could it be good and bad at the same time? And there were things like planes. Tang Wulin really didn't understand. Jiang Xiaofeng took a deep breath and said slowly, "The world we live in has many names. You can call it the Daluo plane or the Daluo star. It's just a name. The stronger the plane is, the stronger its self-recovery ability is. And the stronger the life bred by the plane is, the greater the benefit to the plane itself." Seeing that Tang Wulin still had a half-understood expression, Jiang Xiaofeng said helplessly, "Just like social development, if social productivity is insufficient, rashly starting industrialization is tantamount to seeking death. When productivity is sufficiently developed, industrialization can promote faster social development." Hearing this, Tang Wulin finally understood. In fact, although Tang Wulin is only 12 years old, he is still very talented in learning cultural courses, and he also knows a lot about various histories. Otherwise, if Tang Wulin in the later period was only strong in strength, he really couldn't lead the Tang sect and Shrek Academy. It's just that Tang Wulin had no choice but to meet a more perverted one. Just like a nerd meeting a god of learning, the nerd scored 100 points because he has the strength, and the god of learning scored 100 points because the full score is only 100 points. Jiang Xiaofeng then asked, "Do you know the existence of the Lord of the Plains?" Tang Wulin shook his head blankly. Jiang Xiaofeng showed an expression of knowing what was going on, and then explained, "This planet has its own consciousness. We call it the Lord of the Plains. It will conduct macro control of the rules of the entire Daluo continent to ensure the stable development of the plane." "I see." Tang Wulin nodded in sudden realization, and then asked in confusion, That's not right. Since the Lord of the Plains will conduct control, why would this happen?" "That's because the Lord of the Plains had an accident. The current Lord of the Plains is no longer the original Lord of the Plains." Jiang Xiaofeng gave the answer solemnly, and then kept looking at Tang Wulin's face. At this time, Tang Wulin's mouth was so wide open that he could fit an apple in because of surprise. Years of getting along made him trust Jiang Xiaofeng immensely, and because of trust, he was now unbelievable. This statement is very contradictory, but also very reasonable. Although Tang Wulin can be said to be the protagonist of this world in the future, he is only 12 years old now. He just wants to be a powerful spirit master and blacksmith. And everything Jiang Xiaofeng told him now almost shattered Tang Wulin's worldview. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Tang Wulin and asked solemnly, "Do you want to continue listening? What I'm going to say next may completely collapse your beliefs. Also, don't tell anyone, remember, anyone. If a person's beliefs completely collapse, it is a very terrifying thing, and it is not impossible to even seek death because of it." Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng gave the choice to Tang Wulin himself. Tang Wulin was silent, and Jiang Xiaofeng did not speak either, quietly waiting for Tang Wulin's decision. Finally, Tang Wulin raised his head and said firmly, "Xiaofeng, go ahead. I'm ready, and I won't tell anyone." Okay. Jiang Xiaofeng turned on the computer in the dormitory. The computer showed a picture of a blue-haired man. You should know the legend of the God realm. Legend has it that Tang San, the ancestor of the Tang sect, achieved the dual positions of sea god and Azure god. I know. Tang Wulin nodded. Since he was a child, Tang Wulin has been fascinated by the various legends of the Tang sect. Naturally, he is familiar with Tang San's story. Okay. Jiang Xiaofeng clicked the mouse, and the picture on the computer began to change. In the center of the picture, there was a pentagonal pattern. First of all, I want to tell you that most of these legends are true. The god realm does exist, and Tang San did become a god. Tang Wulin looked at the picture on the computer curiously. He saw that each corner of the pentagon on the picture was marked with a name. This is some information about the god realm that has been passed down. The highest organization of the God Realm, the God Realm Committee. There are 5 members in it, and Tang San is one of them. Jiang Xiaofeng explained. Amazing. Tang Wulin couldn't help but exclaim. When encountering major issues, the God Realm Committee will hold a meeting. And any major decision can only be implemented when the 5 great God Kings of the God Realm Committee agree unanimously. And Daoluo continent is the most important jurisdiction of the God Realm. Therefore, every major measure against Daoluo continent requires the unanimous agreement of the 5 great god kings before it can be implemented. At this point, the admiration in Tang Wulin's eyes became stronger. But this also means that all major actions taken by the god realm against Daoluo continent have Tang San's permission. Perhaps, ordinary people would not understand what Jiang Xiaofeng meant, but Tang Wulin was different. Although Tang Wulin was not as smart as Jiang Xiaofeng in terms of IQ, it did not mean that Tang Wulin was not smart. Tang Wulin's voice was no longer full of admiration as before, but began to tremble a little. "You mean, turning Daoluo continent into a Death Star has Tang San's permission?" For Tang Wulin now, Tang San is undoubtedly the person he admires the most. However, he suddenly learned that the idol he admired was not as good as he imagined, and might even be the culprit of everything. This shock was second only to the shock that Kiryu Battle Rabbit felt when he found out that the store manager was the Blood Dive. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. It can only be explained this way. The rise of the forging system thousands of years ago without any signs was obviously a change in the rules of heaven and earth. Only the God King of the God Realm could make such a decision. But, Tang San in history was such a righteous person. Tang Wulin was still making his last struggle, but obviously, he had already believed what Jiang Xiaofeng said. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head helplessly and said, "Wulin, you have to know that history is always written by the victor. Tang San won, so Tang San is righteous and the spirit hall is evil, and vice versa. However, if you look into the root of it, you will find that, whether it is the 2 empires represented by Tang San or the spirit hall represented by Bibidong, there is no essential difference between the 2. How could it be?" Tang Wulin said with a dull look. The spirit hall launched the war in order to realize its ambition to unify the continent. The 2 empires pushed forward Tang San because they were unwilling to give up the power in their hands. In essence, there is no difference between the 2. It can even be said that, if the spirit hall unified the Daoluo continent, the civilians would at least not have to be displaced by the continuous wars afterwards. Tang Wulin was speechless. Jiang Xiaofeng sighed and said, "When learning about history, you must not be affected by the subjective emotions of the historian. You can study history carefully in your spare time. These things are recorded in great detail. It's just that they are mixed with the personal emotions of the recorder. At this time, Tang Wulin seemed to be lost, and it was unknown whether he had heard it. Jiang Xiaofeng walked over and gently patted Tang Wulin on the shoulder. Okay, he was just your idol in the past, and you don't have any real relationship with him. Seeing that Tang Wulin still didn't react, Jiang Xiaofeng had to continue to comfort him. I know that you have always regarded Tang San as your idol, including your sense of justice. You also got it from Tang San's story. But you have to understand that the one who really gave you the belief in justice was not Tang San, but your parents who told you this story. Even if this story is false, your parents and the justice you believe in are definitely not false. Chapter 74, Encounter in the Work-Study Dormitory. Tang Wulin smiled bitterly. I understand the reason, but I just can't calm down for a while. Just give me some time. Jiang Xiaofeng was relieved. With his understanding of Tang Wulin, the impact of this incident could not defeat Tang Wulin. That's good. You have to remember that Tang San is just an illusory person to you. Only your relatives and friends around you are real to you. Jiang Xiaofeng walked to the door of the dormitory. Go out and take a walk. Relax your mind. Tang Wulin nodded, and then followed Jiang Xiaofeng out of the dormitory. Speaking of which, the scenery in Shrek Academy is really good, with all kinds of trees and lakes. It can be said that there is everything. Remove the teaching building, it is completely a super large scenic area. Jiang Xiaofeng and Tang Wulin walked slowly in the woods, and the fragrance of the flowers and plants around them made them feel a little relaxed. Especially Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin's blue-silver grass martial spirit is most suitable for training in such a wooded area. Even if he just walks in this place, Tang Wulin will unconsciously relax. How is it? Are you relaxed? Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Tang Wulin and asked. Tang Wulin nodded. I feel much better. I feel nothing, after thinking it through. Anyway, I don't know Tang San, and his good or bad has nothing to do with me. Hearing this, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. Tang San is not only related to you, but also has a great relationship with you. He is your biological father. Unconsciously, Jiang Xiaofeng and Tang Wulin walked to a wooden house. What is this wooden house? Tang Wulin asked curiously. A dormitory for work-study students. Jiang Xiaofeng said casually, but it seems that only one person lives in it now, because her martial soul is too special. Martial soul is too special? In Shrek Academy, isn't it better to be special? As he said, Tang Wulin also looked at Jiang Xiaofeng, and his eyes seemed to say, no matter how special it is, can it be as special as you? Jiang Xiaofeng said unhappily, fuck you. Her situation is different from mine. She has twin spirits, but one of them is almost like an evil spirit master. Although she didn't become bloodthirsty or anything like that, the academy assigned her to the work-study students for safety reasons. Evil spirit master spirit? Tang Wulin thought for a moment and asked, is it the woman with the fallen angel spirit we saw that day? That's her. But so far, she hasn't shown any signs of losing control. At this rate, she will probably be able to study in the inner courtyard in 1 or 2 years at most. So amazing. Tang Wulin said with some envy. He didn't ask Jiang Xiaofeng why he knew all this. In his opinion, it was perfectly normal for Jiang Xiaofeng to know all this. However, some people didn't think so. Who are you, and why do you know so much about me? A slightly cold and pleasant voice sounded behind them. Jiang Xiaofeng and Tang Wulin turned around and saw a thin man standing behind them. Tang Wulin's expression became as if he had seen a ghost. UNN? You, are you a man or a woman? UNN seemed to want to say something, but seemed a little embarrassed to say it. Jiang Xiaofeng sighed and said helplessly, she is a woman, just a woman dressed as a man. But, she clearly has an Adam's apple on her neck, how could she be a woman? Tang Wulin still didn't believe it. He helped UNN forge a few pieces of metal a few days ago. During this period, Tang Wulin didn't see any similarities between him and women. As soon as Tang Wulin finished speaking, the figure of the man in front of him began to change. His short hair began to lengthen rapidly and turned into a red short hair. With a crackling sound of bones, UNN's face shape and figure began to change constantly, and the Adam's apple on his neck also shrank. The whole process made Tang Wulin dumbfounded. Jiang Xiaofeng said earnestly, remember, in this era, if you want to find a wife one day, don't just hug a pretty one from the street and run away. Because you don't know whether the one you hug is a boy or a girl. Tang Wulin nodded stupidly. Everything in front of him was so shocking that he couldn't speak. Yuan Enyehu was immediately furious. She always felt that Jiang Xiaofeng was saying that she was a shemale. But there was no evidence, so she had to continue asking, you haven't answered my question yet. Yuan Enyehu still had a deep impression of Jiang Xiaofeng. She remembered that the last time she worked as a temporary worker in a milk tea shop, Jiang Xiaofeng and his group found her fallen angel martial spirit in some way. It was just that Jiang Xiaofeng helped her out, so Yuan Enyehu didn't ask any more questions at that time. Seeing Yuan Enyehui's expression of breaking the casserole to get to the bottom of it, Jiang Xiaofeng had no choice but to answer, I helped you get that special ID card, how could I not know you? Seeing Yuan Enyehui's suspicious expression, Jiang Xiaofeng took out a card, NUO, if you can't even tell the real from the fake, then I can't do anything. Yuan Enyehui took the card and looked at it carefully. It was a work permit with Jiang Xiaofeng's name and photo on it, and the position was written as Chief Designer of Shrek Soul Guidance Engineering. At first glance, Yuan Enyehui thought this work permit was particularly outrageous. After all, the qualifications written on it were too exaggerated. But after a closer look, all the anti-counterfeiting marks on the work permit were intact. Could it be true? A famous title Daoluo once said, after eliminating all impossibilities, no matter how unbelievable the rest is, it must be the truth. After thinking about all the possibilities, Yuan Enyehui found that it seemed that only Jiang Xiaofeng's statement could explain it. Suddenly, Yuan Enyehui turned around and shouted, who is it? I knew it was you, Yuan N. A somewhat frivolous voice came, and a blonde man came out from nowhere. This shouldn't be your real name. What is your real name? Yuan Enyehui said coldly, what does my name have to do with you? Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Tang Wulin helplessly and said, we came out for a walk and encountered so many things. I don't know which idiot author arranged this stupid plot. Tang Wulin stepped forward and said, private fighting is prohibited in Shrek Academy, and she did not violate the rules of Shrek Academy. You have no right to take action against her privately. Yuan Enyehui looked at Tang Wulin in surprise. He didn't expect that after knowing that he had the spirit of an evil spirit master, he was willing to stand up for himself. Le Zhengai narrowed his eyes and said, fallen angel martial spirit, you dare to say that you are not an evil soul master? When I killed the evil soul master, you didn't even know where you were. Tang Wulin wanted to say something, but was stopped by Jiang Xiaofeng. Let's not talk about your qualifications, but you must admit that you can't do anything here. Are you the inner courtyard student before? Le Zhengai said with some disdain. Don't think I don't know that you have been demoted from the inner courtyard. Jiang Xiaofeng raised his eyebrows in surprise. Should I say that you are worthy of being a holy angel family? You are well informed. It seems that you have investigated me a lot. Of course, although our holy angel family is not as good as Shrek Academy, its foundation is not what you can imagine. Le Zhengai said with some pride. After all, he is just a child of 12 or 13 years old, and he is so proud of himself with a few compliments. Jiang Xiaofeng silently complained in his heart, and then asked faintly, then do you know why I was demoted from the inner courtyard? Le Zhengai was speechless. He really didn't know this. Although the holy angel family is strong, it is ultimately limited. It is already the limit to be able to investigate until Jiang Xiaofeng is exiled from the inner courtyard. Hearing Jiang Xiaofeng's words, even Yuan Enyehui, who was almost at the side, couldn't help but look over curiously. Girls always like gossip, and Yuan Enyehui is no exception. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled slightly and said like a crook-mouthed dragon king, that's because I accidentally made something that could blow up Shrek Academy. Do you think you can do it? Le Zhengai was about to express his disbelief, and then he saw Jiang Xiaofeng took out a disciplinary notice from somewhere. The general idea was that, because Jiang Xiaofeng made weapons of mass destruction, he was punished with probation and exiled from the inner courtyard. P.S. People on the Daoluo continent don't understand the role of the reactor. They just think it is a weapon. Good guy, it's a wolf destroyer. Lezengayu and UNNEHUI said in their hearts at the same time. PS. It will be on the shelves tomorrow. Please be the first to order. Also, many people say that the recent chapters are a bit watery. I will explain here that the current pace is a bit too fast, so I need to slow down the pace. Also, the bubble form will be the main combat form for a long time in the future, and the dangerous trigger will not appear so soon. Chapter 75 begins. Jiang Xiaofeng continued, I know that your holy angel family has always been at war with evil spirit masters, and I admire this. In this case, if she shows any intention to harm ordinary people, I can hand her over to you. But if she has not become a real evil spirit master, you can't do anything to her. How about it? Lezengayu quickly calculated in his mind. Shrek Academy would never give up on such a talent. This time, being exiled from the inner courtyard is probably just a symbolic punishment. With such a person as a guarantor, it still has greater credibility, and the conditions he proposed are not harsh and not unacceptable. Well, since you are a guarantor, I will not do anything to her for the time being. At this point, Lezengayu stared at Yuanenyehu, but if she shows any signs of becoming an evil spirit master, I hope you will not stop me. That's natural. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded, but I also hope that your holy angel family will pay attention. Sometimes, evil spirit masters are not people with evil martial spirits, but people who use martial spirits to do evil. Lezengayu did not ignore Jiang Xiaofeng's last words. In fact, a Shrek in a courtyard student still has a lot of say on the mainland. Without special circumstances, no family would offend Shreks in a courtyard students. As long as the suggestions made by the inner courtyard students do not affect the vital interests of the family, they will usually consider them. Okay, now that the matter is settled, let's go back. Goodbye. Jiang Xiaofeng turned around and prepared to leave. Before leaving, Tang Wulin did not forget to shout to Yuanenyehu, if you need it, you can come to me for forging. I can give you a discount. Good guy, you are taking advantage of Yuanenyehu. Even Yuanenyehu, who was always cold, couldn't help but twitch his mouth after hearing Tang Wulin's words. Everything is back on track. Class is in the morning, and Feng Wuyu helps to melt and forge Pandora alloy in the afternoon. Because of the special nature of Pandora alloy, even Feng Wuyu cannot complete its spiritual forging. Moreover, the daily output is extremely limited. At this rate, it will take at least a year and a half for Feng Wuyu to complete the full set of Night System's 1000 forging metals. But this matter cannot be rushed. As for the design of the one-word battle armor, Jiang Xiaofeng was a bit Buddhist. The design was completed early, but Tang Wulin's forging was a bit behind. It's not that Tang Wulin's forging was weak, but because even if these battle armors were designed by Jiang Xiaofeng casually, they were much more complicated than the normal one-word battle armor. Jiang Xiaofeng added some nanotechnology to each set of battle armor, so that the battle armor can achieve self-repair. And Jiang Xiaofeng also designed an emergency mode for these battle armors. In an emergency, the battle armor will activate some abilities that Tang Wulin and others cannot master. Since Tang Wulin and others can't use it, Jiang Xiaofeng's battle setting in this mode is automatic combat. In short, the second uncle's substitute mode. Guyu. Now she is studying the periodic table. Since she came into contact with the periodic table, Guyu seemed to have opened up a new world. She had many novel ideas about her ability to control her element. As for Zizi and Zhu Xiaoyan, these two people are really a bit lame in their secondary professions. In desperation, Jiang Xiaofeng had to make up for them a little. Jiang Xiaofeng didn't pursue how well they learned, as long as they were not at the bottom of the class. Zhu Xiaoyan and Zizi naturally cherish such learning opportunities. Facts have proved that Jiang Xiaofeng's teaching ability is still good, and there is no common problem that occurs when a top student teaches a poor student. Why does 1 + 1 equal 2? The period of Daoluo 3 can be said to be the most suitable period for making trouble on Daoluo continent. The god realm was swept away by the turbulence of time and space, and the social productivity was highly developed. Although the territory has expanded from a continent to a planet, it is not untouchable. However, the current Daoluo continent is still facing external troubles, so there must be no chaos inside. This is one of the few restrictions. Other restrictions include the hidden lord of the plains Tang Heo and Tang San, who is not sure if he has a backup. Although Tang Heo cannot appear directly, if he really wants to target Jiang Xiaofeng, he can still make Jiang Xiaofeng's luck worse, such as going out and encountering an evil soul master that he cannot defeat. However, Jiang Xiaofeng didn't care too much because he had a bug-like escape artifact in his hand, the smoke gun. On the Daoluo continent, when it comes to escaping, Jiang Xiaofeng is second to none, and no one dares to claim first place. After comprehensive consideration, Jiang Xiaofeng decided to start planning to build a solar car factory. Jiang Xiaofeng is not going to promote solar energy for the time being, because the emergence of solar energy will inevitably cause a huge conflict with the Soul Guide system. Therefore, before the external situation stabilizes, Jiang Xiaofeng is only going to promote some livelihood facilities that will not enter the eyes of the top leaders. Because solar cars use solar energy, they will not conflict with the original lives of civilians, because electricity is not popular. Moreover, Jiang Xiaofeng did not design its performance to exceed that of the old Soul Guide cars too much, so that it will not attract too much attention from the top leaders. At the same time, because its factory uses a mechanical factory, it does not require soul masters to participate in production, which will make its cost much cheaper. In this case, its price can also be lower than other Soul Guide cars, so that more families can ride in cars. Now the Soul Guide cars on the Daoluo continent are generally around 800,000 federal coins, while the cost of solar cars is only a few thousand federal coins. Even if the factory needs to make a profit, the selling price is only around 20,000 federal coins. Yes, it is really just a little lower. At this price, most families can afford it. At the same time, once the solar car factory is promoted, it can also provide more employment opportunities for ordinary people. Jiang Xiaofeng does not need to consider peer competition. First of all, he does not participate in the production of high-end cars, so he will not affect too many people's cake. The rest of the troubles can be easily solved by using the name of Shrek. Just do it. Jiang Xiaofeng chose to pay for the cost of building the factory out of his own pocket. Now in Shrek Academy, Jiang Xiaofeng is really not short of money. Even raising 10 Tang Wulin is not a problem. What's more, Shrek Academy also provides subsidies for this kind of private entrepreneurship. The first factory can be built in 3 months at most. Alas, it's so difficult to lead. Jiang Xiaofeng said he was tired. Today is a practical class. We will conduct it in groups. Your opponent's army or teacher Wu. We don't require you to win the battle, but you must show cooperation that satisfies us. Each group. Wu Changkang suddenly interrupted Shen Yi. Jiang Xiaofeng, you don't participate in the group battle for now. While everyone was confused, Wu Changkang continued to add, you will fight me alone later, and I will use the battle armor. Suddenly, everyone was in an uproar. Shen Yi also touched Wu Changkang lightly. Brother, is this too much? You know, at this time Wu Changkang has broken through the 7th ring and become a Soul Saint level strongman. With the increase of the 2-word battle armor, his strength is already on par with the title Daoluo without battle armor. Wu Changkang did not care about Shen Yi's dissuasion, but continued, if you lose, then, the final exam will be deducted points. After speaking, he turned and left. Shen Yi hurriedly chased after him. Brother, you are really going too far. You also know your own strength. How can Jiang Xiaofeng beat you? To Shen Yi's surprise, Wu Changkang shook his head and said, no, I think he has a high chance of winning. The knight system was made by him 3 years ago. Today, 3 years later, I don't believe that his knight system has not been improved at all. This kid will never fully show his strength if he is not pushed. Wu Changkang said lightly. But, even so, you don't have to force him. Shen Yi asked half doubtfully. I don't know what he wants to do, or what his dream is. But I believe that what he wants to do must be beneficial to the entire Daoluo continent. Wu Changkang's seemingly cold words seemed to be full of trust in Jiang Xiaofeng, and, if he wants to let go, he will definitely need more say. P.S. The original Shrek 7 Devils may undergo slight changes due to the butterfly effect of the protagonist. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.